Welcome to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. We bring you 2 daily uploads, ensuring you never miss a moment of the action. Stay tuned, subscribe and let's dive into today's story. One nightmare. Have you ever woken up from one nightmare and found yourself in another nightmare? Lu Sheng is now. Lu Sheng. The stern voice exploded in my ears like thunder. Lu Sheng looked up dizzily. The daze and helplessness that just woke up from sleep still remained on his face. The middle-aged man on the podium pushed his glasses on the bridge of his nose, and stared at him with a look of hatred. There are more than 200 days left before the college entrance examination. Don't want to work hard, and still have the mind to sleep in class? With your grades, after graduation, you may not be able to go to the construction site to move bricks. Do you know what is the minimum blood standard for cement workers on the construction site? 0.8. Has your qi and blood reached 0.8? Lu Sheng lowered his head, while rubbing his swollen temples. He obediently listened to what the head teacher said. The little fat man sitting on his left secretly turned to look at him. Are you having nightmares again? Lu Sheng nodded without speaking, but his eyes were full of helplessness. He has been dreaming the same dream repeatedly and frequently for 3 days. Lu Sheng couldn't describe what kind of dream it was, he just remembered that the scene in the dream was very dilapidated, desolate, and depressing. He stood at a loss in a wilderness, surrounded by wandering monsters. Is a nightmare. Lu Sheng is very sure of this. Because after encountering this dream, he became very lethargic, and the quality of sleep was extremely poor. Although I sleep for more than 10 hours a day, the state of the whole person is the same as continuous insomnia all night. So much so that in these 3 days, Lu Sheng's blood value dropped by 0.02. 0.02 ah! How many tonics do you need to take, and how many days of hard work can you make up for it? Lu Sheng's mood was simply terrible. After school, Lu Sheng walked listlessly on the way out of the school with his school bag on his back. Someone called his name and chased after him, blocking him. Lu Sheng, go online. It's the little fat guy in class during the day. His name is Lu Kaiming, and he is one of Lu Sheng's few friends. Facing Lu Kaiming's invitation, Lu Sheng shook his head. No, go home. Going home so early? It's not like your style. Go online, I'll cover all the drinks and internet fees today. Lu Kaiming patted his chest and sincerely invited. Lu Sheng still shook his head and explained, I really don't want to go, I want to go back early to catch up on sleep. You slept all day in class today, and you haven't woken up yet. Lu Kaiming had an exaggerated expression on his face. Lu Sheng didn't bother to explain. He waved his hand and continued walking. Lu Kaiming wanted to persuade him again, but at this time a few boys ran over quickly. Lu Kaiming, are you going to surf the internet? Come on, right now. Lu Kaiming took one last look at Lu Sheng, said nothing, left Lu Sheng and ran towards the other boys. Lu Sheng watched Lu Kaiming's back as he went away, and students in black and blue school uniforms kept passing by him. These people rushed to the school gate in a bustling manner, and quickly scattered away at the school gate, like a muddy river, going away amidst the bustle. Why? Lu Sheng sighed softly, and the thoughts in his mind began to surge. He almost forgot that he had lived in this world for nearly 18 years. Lu Sheng's memory of his previous life is very vague now, and sometimes he even wonders if it was just a dream. It was a dream that he would recur from childhood to adulthood. Like the one he's been dreaming about lately. No house, no car, single, white collar, walking, falling off a cliff, waking up. Lu Sheng muttered one keyword after another in a low voice, and his eyes gradually became distant until he read the last word. Through. Yes, Lu Sheng came from time travel. In the world of his previous life, there was no martial arts, and there were no monsters running out of cracks in the ground. What is broadcast on the TV news is not monster attacks and martial arts duels. The headaches for the students in the school are not the blood value, combat effectiveness index, and actual combat class results, but the endless mathematics, physics, chemistry, and foreign language test papers. Sometimes Liu Sheng quite misses that world, because that world at least peaceful, quiet. Liu Sheng pushed open the door. He saw his father Liu Haihei lying on the armrest of the sofa with his upper body bare, and his mother Zheng Yufen was tearing off a piece of plaster to find a suitable spot on Liu Haihei's back. Liu Sheng noticed his father's patched back, his eyes hurt, and he shouted, "I'm back. Are you hungry? Why don't you eat an apple first, and I'll cook right away?" Zheng Yufen said to Liu Dahai while pressing the plaster on Liu Dahai's body. Liu Sheng shook his head, dragged his school bag and walked towards his room. He stopped halfway, turned his head to the sofa and said in a low voice, "Why don't you go back and buy a blood moxibustion instrument? That thing can stimulate qi and blood, relax tendons, and is also very effective for massage and healing. My classmate's family has one. Hey, what kind of injury is it for me? Just bear it for a few days and it will be fine. If you have this money, you might as well save it and buy supplements for you." Liu Dahai quickly rejected Liu Sheng's proposal, and then tried to turn his head to look at him. "How is your qi and blood value recently? Have you broken through 0.85? I read the news today that the qi and blood value of this year's undergraduate score line for the college entrance examination has been raised by 0.01. I see, I'm going back to my room to exercise now." When Liu Sheng heard this, his heart tightened, and he rushed into his room as if fleeing. He couldn't do it with a guilty conscience. If Liu Dahai knew that his blood value had not improved, but dropped instead, he would have to jump up from the sofa and beat him hard with a shoe board. The new book sets sale. Please collect the flower evaluation ticket monthly ticket. Thank you everyone. 002 Victory Team Zombies? Liu Sheng closed the door and breathed a sigh of relief. Only when he was in this small room that belonged to him alone did he feel a little relaxed. The room is small, with a single bed and desk in the corner. In the middle is a 2x1.5 black yoga mat, surrounded by dumbbells, grips, sandbags and other exercise equipment. This is Liu Sheng's martial arts training room and rest room. Liu Sheng put down his school bag, took off his coat and pants, and sat down on the yoga mat. He came back immediately after school. In fact, he mainly wanted to exercise more, so as to make up for the decline in qi and blood value due to nightmares in the past 2 days as soon as possible. At his age, all aspects of his body are developing rapidly, and it should be the stage when his blood value is skyrocketing. Unless it is an injury or a serious illness, it is almost impossible for the blood value to drop. So what happened to Liu Sheng can be regarded as very serious, and it must be corrected and contained in time. After calming down, Liu Sheng took a deep breath and said silently in his heart, "The 13th radio gymnastics, start." Afterwards, Liu Sheng's body began to move one after another. These movements are somewhat similar to yoga, but they are very different from yoga. It is quite appropriate to use gymnastics to describe them. The 24 forms of martial arts body training promoted by the World Martial Arts League are said to be created by the masters of the Martial Arts League based on ancient yoga, ancient martial arts, and ancient jujitsu. They are most suitable for laying the foundation for martial arts beginners. But the version I am practicing now is already the 13th version after revision and correction, and the effect is several times better than the first version of the first generation. Since more than 300 years ago, the world underwent drastic changes, a crack appeared in the sky and the earth, and a large number of grotesque and terrifying monsters spewed out. The development track of this world has completely changed. After most of the thermal weapons lost their effectiveness against monsters, humans began to look for new ways and means to defend themselves. Perhaps because of the appearance of monsters, facing the tremendous pressure of genocide, a certain gene lock in the human body is broken, and individual strength can easily climb to a height that was unimaginable before. So martial arts began to shine. Martial arts develop rapidly and change with each passing day. It has been developed until now, and it has become a social trend for the whole people to practice martial arts and practice hard. But even so, humans are still at an absolute disadvantage on the battlefield of competing with monsters for living space. There are news of towns falling almost every day, and the human population continues to drop sharply. This is what the head teacher often told Liu Sheng and the others. You were born in a turbulent era, and you must shoulder the responsibilities of this era. You are practicing martial arts for the rise of mankind, each of you is the fire of martial arts. Hu. Liu Sheng stopped his physical movements, sat on the yoga mat and slowly adjusted his breathing. He did the 24 movements of body training 3 times in one breath. A thin layer of sweat broke out on his body, and his originally pale face became a little more flushed. If you don't have nightmares anymore, you should be able to make up for the lack of blood in a week. Liu Sheng thought silently in his heart. So far, Liu Sheng has not found the reason for his nightmare. He checked the information on the internet with his mobile phone, and there are generally 4 causes of nightmares: sleeping position, diet, disease, and spirit. The first 3 factors can be ruled out. Is it possible that it is caused by the high psychological pressure near the college entrance examination? Liu Sheng could not confirm. It stands to reason that a person like him who has gone through 2 college entrance examinations should have a much better psychological endurance than normal people. Not so. Liu Sheng was resting while thinking wildly. Thinking about it, sleepiness slowly came up like a tide. Liu Sheng yawned unconsciously, his eyelids drooped, his body slowly lay down, and he gradually fell asleep. The sky is leaden grey, the earth is black, and there is a trace of grey mist everywhere. Depressed, desperate, desolate. When Liu Sheng woke up, the first thing he saw was the scene in front of him. It's this nightmare again. Liu Sheng was completely helpless. Wake up, wake up, wake up! Liu Sheng grabbed the flesh on his arms and face, trying to wake himself up from the dream, but it was of no avail. Until a certain point in time, he will remain in this nightmare. There was a strange sound in my ear, as if someone was stuck in the throat, accompanied by rustling mopping. Coming! Liu Sheng wailed in his heart. Soon, the grey fog not far to his left dissipated, and a tall, stiff figure appeared in front of his eyes. The skin color of the humanoid is grey, the eye sockets are sunken and there are no eyeballs, only a pair of holes. There is a long gap in the face, and the grey-white face bones and black flesh and blood can be clearly seen. The figure is stiff and slow, wearing a onesie that resembles the victory uniform, but is already dirty, with dirt everywhere. It was almost exactly the same as the zombies Liu Sheng had seen in the movies of his previous life. The new book sets sail, please collect the flower evaluation ticket monthly ticket, thank you everyone. 003 A memory comparable to a disaster movie. Run? The first reaction in Liu Sheng's mind. He's done this before. The jumpsuit zombie was very slow and couldn't catch up with him. Previously, Liu Sheng gradually lost consciousness while running away, and then woke up. But this time, Liu Sheng changed his mind. Stop running! Liu Sheng rolled up his sleeves in a rather lonely manner. Anyway, it's a dream, it doesn't matter if you get bitten, maybe you can wake up faster if you die in the dream. Thinking about it, Liu Sheng took the initiative to stride towards the one-piece zombie. Although my grades in school are not good, my blood value is still 0.8. Whether it is strength or speed, it exceeds the standard of a normal adult male in the previous life. Are you afraid of a mere zombie? According to the standards of the World Martial Arts League, the chi and blood value of a first-level warrior is 1.5, and the combat power is 150. Now Liu Sheng can almost be regarded as half a formal warrior. Although Liu Sheng's actual combat class results are very poor, and he only knows a few simple fighting skills, but it does not affect his current momentum in the slightest. Feng Shen legs. Liu Sheng shouted the name of the moves he had read in the novels of his previous life. After a run-up, he kicked hard on the tall zombie's chest. The tall zombie took a few steps back, its clumsy body was unable to stand under such a huge impact, and fell on its back to the ground. On his jumpsuit, there was a clear shoe print of size 41.5. It seems, but that's all. With this kick, Liu Sheng's confidence instantly increased. Seeing the tall zombie in a jumpsuit struggling and trying to stand up again, he hurried up to make up the knife. Liu Sheng punched the tall zombie twice in the face with his bare hands. It was as if the fist had hit a dried coconut shell, causing the back of Liu Sheng's hand to ache. Liu Sheng bared his teeth while looking around for tools that could be used. Soon a watermelon-sized stone was found a few meters away. Liu Sheng grabbed the rock and pointed it at the tall zombie's head. The weakness of the zombies in the movie is in the head, so it should be fine. Liu Sheng muttered in his mouth, and exerted a lot of force on his hand. Crack! The crisp sound of the bridge of the nose breaking. A stone the size of a watermelon was completely embedded in the tall zombie's face. The tall zombie's body twitched twice, and then completely remained silent. Nailed it! Liu Sheng confirmed that the tall zombie was completely dead, so he sat down on the ground, gasping for air. I have to say, this dream is really real enough. Liu Sheng could even feel the sound of his heart beating violently. Still awake? Liu Sheng muttered, and was about to stand up. At this moment, he saw that the tall zombie in front of him collapsed like gravel, and quickly weathered and disappeared in just a few seconds. And there were strands of black smoke steaming from the weathered corpse of the tall zombie, rushing fiercely into Liu Sheng's chest like an arrow. Ah! Liu Sheng was taken aback, and before he had time to react, he felt a wave of heat emanating from his chest, accompanied by a large number of small memories, flashing across his mind quickly like a movie scene. What do you want to do after graduation? Join the base defense team. I heard that the training of the defense team is hard and dangerous. It's okay, this is my dream all along. Laugh. From now on, you are a member of the number 1359 base defense team, number YH48549. Yes, sir. I will not let you down. Excited. Breathing method, body training technique, these two things I taught you, I practice them for eating, sleeping and going to the toilet. With more strength, there will be more chances to save your life when you encounter strange beasts in the future. Understood, sir. The second team. The second team. The third team, damn it, where are the people, are they all dead? Stop. Who are you? Number YH48549, met sir. What are you doing here? Which team are you in? Report sir, Squad 7. Immediately. Get your captain to meet me. Report sir, the captain, they are all dead, and I am the only one left in the 7th team. Silence. The gate of the base is broken. Strange beasts everywhere. Black mist. What is that? Liu Sheng slowly opened his eyes, which were filled with deep sadness. He seemed to be watching a long movie. The protagonist is a tall and handsome teenager. The first half of the movie seems dull and boring, basically it is a scene of young people's hard training. The second half gets heavy. One battle after another. Every battle is accompanied by blood and death. The companions around the boy decreased one by one. The sky is always grey, and sadness and pain fill every inch of memory. In the end, the picture was frozen on the broken city wall, and the terrifying beasts and large swaths of black fog swept over the sky. Even Liu Sheng couldn't help being moved by the desperation and depression before the world was about to be engulfed by darkness. What did this guy go through before his death? Liu Sheng murmured. There is no doubt that the memory he just accepted should be the memory of the tall zombie he killed before his death. And this memory is like a doomsday disaster movie. The new book sets sail, Please collect the flower evaluation ticket monthly ticket, thank you everyone. 004 Inheritance, Fighting Skills. Also, why can't I get his memory after killing him, because it's in a dream? Many doubts arose in Liu Sheng's heart. It's a pity that no one can answer his question, and all the answers can only be found by himself. Liu Sheng picked up his mood and started walking on the wilderness. Soon, several wandering zombies appeared before Liu Sheng's eyes. These zombies were wearing dirty and tattered overalls, and one of them was wearing a yellow helmet on his head, which looked much worse than the previous jumpsuit zombies. This time, Liu Sheng was not afraid, and rushed towards the zombie wearing a yellow helmet. Crack! Liu Sheng rushed forward and twisted his arms, breaking the opponent's neck neatly. Seeing the zombie's head rolling to his feet like a broken ball, Liu Sheng was stunned for a moment. He looked at his hands in disbelief. When did I become so strong? Liu Sheng recalled his series of actions just now. It seems that it has been used countless times in actual combat, and it has almost become instinctive, and it is used subconsciously. That kind of precision and ruthlessness is a realm that he never dared to imagine before. Could it be the reason why I absorbed the memory of the One Piece zombie? Analysis by Liu Sheng. The One Piece zombie seemed to be a combatant named Base 1359. Although his strength was not strong, he had experienced many battles and had rich practical experience. Liu Sheng absorbed his memory and naturally inherited this part of his skills. It's against the sky. Liu Sheng couldn't help sighing. It's easy to gain the experience of others' lifetime, if this is not a dream. Because it is a dream, no matter what incredible things happen, it seems normal. It was quite strange to say that Liu Sheng clearly realized that he was dreaming, but he just couldn't wake up. At this time, the zombie who had just been instantly killed by Liu Sheng also began to weather, and a black line of smoke also emerged from his body and penetrated into Liu Sheng's body. Liu Sheng quickly absorbed this part of the memory. The memory of this time made Liu Sheng a little disappointed. The hard hat zombie was just an ordinary plumber repairman, and there are very few things that interest Liu Sheng in his memory, almost nothing. The only thing that is valuable is that the helmet zombie's memory shows that he and the jumpsuit zombie should come from the same place, Base 1359. It seems that I need to find that Base 1359, maybe there, I can find the truth behind this dream. Liu Sheng said to himself. Now he has completely regarded this dream as a puzzle and upgrade game. Hunting zombies wandering around in the wilderness can provide him with experience to level up and clues to the next step. As for what the clues point to, Liu Sheng doesn't know, and doesn't care. He was simply passing the time so that the nightmare would be more interesting and less torturous. If I want to upgrade faster, I still need to find combat zombies to hunt and kill. Their memory is more helpful to me. As for how to distinguish between combatants and non-combatants, just look at the clothes. After Liu Sheng cleared his mind, he quickened his pace and began to selectively choose his own hunting targets. Liu Sheng ran for a while in the wilderness, and soon encountered a fighting zombie who was wearing a jumpsuit similar to the victory team, just like the first zombie he killed. Because he didn't care about injury or death, Liu Sheng rushed towards a zombie without any worries. This zombie looked a little more advanced than the first one, with an extra weapon in his hand. The rusty iron rod more than 1 meter long had a broken fracture at the tip, and it was impossible to tell what kind of weapon it was. Roar! Seeing Liu Sheng's mouth, the zombie let out a series of ugly roars, and then slowly picked up the iron rod in his hand and hit Liu Sheng. Liu Sheng narrowed his body and nimbly dodged the iron rod's attack, then leaned close to the opponent, and stabbed the opponent's throat hard with an elbow. Crack! There was a crisp neck-cracking sound. The iron rod zombie's head was turned backwards at a strange angle, and Liu Sheng knocked it down with a punch, then grabbed the iron rod in the opponent's hand, and quickly made a knife on its head. Once, twice. When the iron rod zombie's body starts to weather, it means the battle is over. A black line of smoke drilled into Liu Sheng's body. The base, fallen, defend, doomsday, fire. Liu Sheng slowly opened his eyes. The memory absorption this time allowed him to gain a lot of skills and experience related to spear weapons, but other than that, his memory was very chaotic. Liu Sheng suspected that this guy had gone crazy before he died. Various grotesque beasts flashed from time to time in the reading screen, and the memory was filled with a strong atmosphere of despair and depression. Continue. After sorting out this memory, Liu Sheng picked up the iron rod, a half-spear to be precise, that he had just obtained, and prepared to continue exploring. But at this moment, a dull voice came from his ear. Bang bang bang, bang bang bang. With this sound, everything around Liu Sheng became illusory and unstable. Liu Sheng was woken up by a loud banging on the door. He tried to open his eyes and slowly sat up from the yoga mat. Then I heard a clear and indifferent female voice coming from outside the door. It's time to eat. How long will you stay in the room? The new book sets sale, please collect the flower evaluation ticket monthly ticket, thank you everyone. 005 Liu King He, appetite. It was the voice of younger sister Liu King He. Liu Sheng could imagine Liu King He's expression now through the door. There is a little impatience in the indifference. Liu King He has always looked down on his big brother. Liu Sheng is going to be 18 this year, and his blood value is 0.8, it has dropped to 0.78 in the past few days, his combat index and actual combat class results are in a mess, and his total score is in the middle and lower reaches even in Beihe No. With such a result, Liu Sheng's college entrance examination is not enough for the last undergraduate course. But Liu King He is different. He has just turned 16 this year, and his qi and blood value has already exceeded 1.0 in the last test, and his combat effectiveness index has exceeded 100. He is also quite talented in actual combat. Currently studying in the genius class of Beihe No. 1 Middle School, the best in Beihe City. If this trend continues, it is entirely possible to impact the eligibility for admission to Wuhan universities in 2 years. To sum it up in one sentence, Liu King He is a genius, an out-and-out genius. Compared with Liu King He, Liu Sheng was mediocre to the point of mud. A cliché combination of a mediocre big brother and a genius sister. Although the Liu family didn't prefer any child because of differences in martial arts talents, Liu Sheng felt that this was the reason why Liu King He had a bad relationship with him all the time. Perhaps in Liu King He's heart, without the burden of his mediocre big brother, she who can get all the resources of the whole family can rush to a higher level now. Understood, come right away. Liu Sheng responded, and the knocking on the door stopped abruptly. At this time, Liu Sheng also regained consciousness, and he obviously realized that he had just experienced another nightmare. However, unlike before, Liu Sheng didn't feel any discomfort after this nightmare. Even the condition is surprisingly good. I didn't feel tired or sleepy, I felt very energetic. Liu Sheng was a little surprised. He tried to recall everything he experienced in the dream. After a while, Liu Sheng was shocked. Those memories I got from the zombies, I remember them all clearly. The various fighting skills I inherited are still firmly engraved in my muscle memory, even. Liu Sheng waved his fist against the air. Even the strength seems to have grown a bit. This is especially incredible. You know, strength comes from qi and blood. The increase in physical fitness must be the result of the increase in qi and blood. Liu Sheng felt that his strength had increased, didn't he feel that his blood value had increased? Can a dream increase qi and blood? Arabian Nights. Liu Sheng couldn't believe it, and suspected that these were his own illusions. Of course, the most direct way to verify the authenticity of this feeling is to do a comprehensive physical test. Eat first, after dinner, go to a martial arts gym to test. Liu Sheng quickly calmed down the turbulent mood, tidied up a little, and then walked out of the room. The only thing about Liu Sheng, who has been a man for 2 lifetimes, is better than his peers, is probably his calm mind. Liu Sheng put his head down and stuffed his mouth with big mouthfuls of food, like someone who has been hungry for days. When he picked up the cleaned empty bowl and handed it to his mother Zheng Yufen asking for another bowl, he suddenly found that the 3 people at the dinner table looked at him with strange eyes. Only then did Liu Sheng realize. The amount of food I eat today seems to be exaggerated. Forget it, I'm full. Liu Sheng hesitated for a moment, wanting to take the bowl back. But he was snatched by Liu Dahai. What's the matter, can you still be hungry at home? Damn my child, go and steam a pot of rice, and fry 2 more dishes by the way. Mom Zheng Yufen answered and got up to go. Liu Dahai looked quite happy, looked at Liu Sheng with a smile, and said, it's like this when boys are developing. They don't feel full after eating. Their hair just popped up. I'll buy some supplements tomorrow, the puberty period is a good time to increase vitality, don't waste it. Liu Sheng nodded. Where can it go if it goes up again, it will be 18 soon. Liu Qinghe next to him stuffed a piece of braised pork into his mouth, making a disdainful sound while chewing. Liu Dahai glared at her and said, don't beat your brother up all the time. It's a good thing to be able to raise a little bit. Those who graduated from Wuhan University with a bachelor's degree and those who graduated from a junior college are completely treated differently. Liu Qinghe pouted, but said nothing. Liu Sheng remained silent. To be honest, he was taken aback by the amount of food tonight. He ate 7 bowls of rice and still didn't feel full. You know, Liu Qinghe usually only eats 5 bowls of rice. And Liu Qinghe's qi and blood value was more than 0.2 higher than that of Liu Sheng, and he had always eaten twice as much as Liu Sheng. Perhaps the blood value has really increased, and it's not my illusion. Liu Sheng thought to himself. Mother Zheng Yufen quickly fried 2 more meat dishes and served them. Liu Sheng ate 2 more bowls of rice, said hello to his family, and went straight out the door. He couldn't wait to test his current values in all aspects. The new book sets sail, please collect the flower evaluation ticket monthly ticket, thank you everyone. 006 Hongchuan Martial Arts Gym, Strength Grows, 6th Update. Hongchuan Wugwan. Liu Sheng found it along the navigation of his mobile phone, and stopped in front of the nearest martial arts gym. The appearance of this martial arts gym is not big, and the decoration is neither bad nor bad. It can be regarded as a very ordinary private martial arts gym. The owner of the hall, Ni Hongchuan, is a 4th-level martial artist. He is good at family boxing. He once won the top 10 of the 23rd Beihai City Martial Arts Exchange. There was an enrollment advertisement posted at the entrance of the martial arts hall, and Liu Sheng read it out. The words Level 4 Warrior on the advertisement caught Liu Sheng's attention. According to the standards issued by the World Martial Arts League, a warrior with a peak blood value of more than 200 and a combat power index of more than 100,000 can be called Level 4. The blood value is equivalent to more than 200 of me, and the combat power index is more than 100 times that of mine. Liu Sheng roughly imagined that realm in his mind, and the result he got was very exaggerated. The higher the level of martial arts, the greater the gap between the next level. A 4th-level warrior, even in the entire Beihai city, can be regarded as a master, a figure with a head and a face. From this point of view, this martial arts school still has some foundations. But this has nothing to do with Liu Sheng. The fee standard in the admissions advertisement was simply not something he could afford. For a martial arts student from an ordinary family like him, it is already very difficult to maintain the supplements needed for daily martial arts practice, let alone enroll in extracurricular classes to learn boxing techniques to improve actual combat skills. That is the treatment that only children from wealthy families are entitled to. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. For children from ordinary families, it is enough to lay a solid foundation and work hard to improve the blood value. If Lu King he has an idea, the family may give her the money, forget it. Besides, there is a way to absorb the memory of zombie martial arts in dreams, and I don't really need such tutoring. Thinking about it, Lu Sheng strode into the Hongchuan Martial Arts Hall. There is a reception desk at the entrance of the martial arts hall. The person in charge of the reception desk is a girl in her 20s, who looks quite beautiful. Seeing Lu Sheng, the girl quickly put on a professional smile and greeted him, "Is this classmate here to enroll in the martial arts improvement class in our martial arts school?" Lu Sheng shook his head, "Let me test the blood value and combat power. General martial arts gyms will provide similar testing services, the test results are almost the same as those in schools, and the cost is not high." The girl at the front desk glanced at the school uniform Lu Sheng was wearing, nodded, and said, "Okay, wait a minute." With her eyesight, she can naturally see that Lu Sheng is the kind of child from an ordinary family, and there is no need to waste words on him. "Go along the corridor to room number 8. There is a test machine in it. Can you operate it? Do you need me to find someone to help you?" The attitude of the girl at the front desk was not bad, and she didn't mean to look down on Lu Sheng. Lu Sheng said he could, then took the rental card given by the girl at the front desk, and followed her guidance to find a special testing room. The instrument for testing blood is somewhat similar to a printer. There is a small groove at the lower end, and a disposable sterile sampling needle is placed next to it. Lu Sheng opened a sampling needle, took a little blood from the tip of his left middle finger, and put it in the groove of the instrument. A light blue light fell on the dark red blood, and then the instrument made a soft beep sound, and a value jumped out on the LCD screen of the blood tester. 0.963. The blood value is accurate to 3 decimal places. When Lu Sheng saw this value, although he had expected it in his heart, he couldn't help but clenched his fists. The blood value has really increased. And the increase is not small. It has increased by 0.18, nearly 0.2. And this was just the result of him hunting and killing 3 zombies in his dream. Facts have proved that everything I got in that dream can indeed be brought into reality. This is no longer a simple game of killing monsters and upgrading, but real practice. Lu Sheng held back his agitated heart. No one would be willing to be mediocre, let alone him who has been mediocre all his life. Now that he finally saw the dawn of being able to shine in martial arts, how could he not be excited and happy? Test the combat power index again. The equipment used to test combat effectiveness is much larger, as tall as a person, and in the middle of the equipment is a groove filled with cushions. When testing, just punch hard into the groove. The memory of the one-piece suit zombie has the technique of punching strength, try it. Lu Sheng didn't know the strength of the 2 jumpsuit zombies he killed, but they were definitely stronger than him now. And the skills and experience accumulated by the 2 through many penances and battles during their lifetimes are undoubtedly even more treasures for him now. Drink. Lu Sheng took a deep breath, and the muscles of his right arm followed the skill trajectory in memory, and punched the force gauge hard. Boom! A number popped up on the force gauge. 113. Combat power 113. It has already exceeded the standard combat power index represented by his blood value of 0.96. This should be the bonus brought by the skill. Then Lu Sheng tested the left arm punch again, the value was a little less than the right arm, but it was more than 100. After several tests, Lu Sheng finally withdrew his fist contentedly. Last year, the score line for Beihai City's martial arts undergraduate course was 1.05 for vitality and 105 for combat power. In other words, I have almost reached the standard of the undergraduate line now. Even if you can't dream again now, you will be able to enter any Niben martial arts university in more than 200 days after the college entrance examination. The new book sets sail, please collect the flower evaluation ticket monthly ticket, thank you everyone. 007 Mysterious Body Refining Technique, Powerful Gain, 7th Update. Of course, Liu Sheng's ambitions now don't stop there. The blood value standard for an official first-level warrior is 1.5, and the combat power index standard is 150. Liu Sheng's goal is to become an official first-level martial artist recognized by the Wu Meng before the college entrance examination, or even higher. The benefits for formal warriors are so good, even if you don't do anything every month, you can still go to the Wu Meng to receive thousands of allowances. The minimum recruitment standard for many high-paying occupations is also a first-level martial artist. If I can reach the standard of a first-level martial artist before the college entrance examination, it is even more likely that I will enter a key Wuhan University. After a few years of advanced study, come out, whether it is to teach in a martial arts school or apply for an officer, you will have a great future. At this moment, Liu Sheng deeply felt how bright his future was. And all of this was brought to him by the dream a few hours ago. After the test, Liu Sheng paid a test fee of 100 yuan, and then went home quickly. He couldn't wait to enter that dream again to explore. Damn, I actually lost sleep. Liu Sheng sat up from the bed helplessly, scratching his head in distress. Perhaps because of eating too much dinner and the increase in blood value, Liu Sheng's mental state is surprisingly good now, with a clear mind and no sleepiness at all. It's only 7 o'clock. It's too early to go to bed now. Forget it, let's do some exercise first. If you're tired, you can fall asleep naturally. Liu Sheng glanced at the time and finally decided to do some exercise before going to bed. The content of the exercise is naturally the 24 body exercises that he called the 13th set of radio gymnastics. It just so happens that the blood value has skyrocketed, and it needs to be consolidated. Scientific research shows that the qi and blood index of the human body is not constant, it has a peak and valley. When you exercise vigorously, or after taking supplements, the blood value will reach a short-term peak. And when you are resting, or sick or injured, and your qi and blood are running low, your qi and blood value will slide to the bottom. Therefore, warriors usually need to carry out a series of high-intensity training after tonic to ensure a permanent increase in blood value, so as to maximize the effect of tonic. This is common sense. Liu Sheng's qi and blood value skyrocketed by 0.18 today, so corresponding exercises are also essential. The first type. Liu Sheng began to practice on the yoga mat following the 24 exercises that he had done countless times. But after practicing for a long time, Liu Sheng felt something was wrong. No. How could I do this? Liu Sheng stopped his movements suddenly, with a strange look on his face. He has been practicing the 13th edition of the 24 body training exercises released by Wu Meng since he was in elementary school. After 7 or 8 years of practice, it has almost become a body instinct, and he can perform the movements with his eyes closed. Not to mention how standard it is, but at least it won't go wrong. But just now, he clearly felt that he had subconsciously performed another set of movements. And this set of moves was something he had never learned before. I see. Liu Sheng quickly understood what the problem was. He absorbed the martial arts memories of the 2 zombies in one-piece suits. In addition to their fighting skills and experience, he also inherited their training memories by the way. And what he just practiced was the body training technique that 2 zombies in one-piece suits practiced repeatedly during their lifetimes. The body training technique of the one-piece suit zombie is completely different from what I practice now. With a curious thought, Liu Sheng decided to practice the body training technique that the 2 zombies in one-piece suits remembered. The movements are much more than the body training technique I practice now. There are more than 200 movements. Some movements seem difficult, but I have inherited the memory of the 2 of them, which means that I have practiced them countless times. It is not very difficult to do them. As for the effect. Hiss. When Liu Sheng performed a movement, a certain part of his body felt a tingling sensation like an electric shock. This feeling was very strange, as if there was a scalding hot current flowing in his body, he was so comfortable that he almost groaned. This feeling seems to have only happened once when I first tried to practice the 24 postures. It's been so many years, this is the second time. Liu Sheng seemed to have discovered the new world all at once. He began to concentrate on practicing this body training technique. If there is a second person in the room at this time, you will see that Liu Sheng's body is constantly twisting and making strange movements one after another. These actions are linked together. Unexpectedly there is a wonderful and harmonious beauty. During this process, Liu Sheng's body continued to tremble slightly. His body temperature continued to rise, a large amount of white air evaporated from the surface of his body, and the sweat that flowed down almost wet the yoga mat under him. Call. Liu Sheng finally made the last move. The whole person fell apart on the yoga mat completely like a frame. But he felt that his condition was unprecedentedly good, his whole body seemed to have undergone a deep massage from the inside out, as if he could hear the muscle cells all over his body cheering and singing. Gyulu gyulu. A strong sense of hunger came from Liu Sheng's brain. How long has it been since I had dinner? Liu Sheng felt incredible. The empty stomach kept reminding him that his body was in urgent need of energy. Lots of energy. And there is only one reason for this. Liu Sheng's blood value has increased again. Unbelievable. Surprise was written all over Liu Sheng's face. He just did the body training technique once, and he was able to increase his qi and blood again. If this situation gets out, he may be immediately regarded as a genius in martial arts. Please collect the flower evaluation ticket monthly ticket, thank you. 008 Soaring Qi and Blood, 8th. Of course I'm not a genius. Liu Sheng is well aware of this. All of these are just the effects of the body training technique he just practiced. The result of one exercise is better than my previous 1 year, or even several years, the effect is dozens or even hundreds of times that of the 24 exercises. No, it's not just because of body training. It's also about breathing. I just subconsciously used a wonderful breathing method when practicing body training. The combination of the two has such a terrifying effect. Liu Sheng instantly thought of some pictures he had seen in the memory of the One Piece zombie. Teach you the breathing method, body training technique, eat, sleep and go to the toilet for me to practice. Wonderful breathing method, wonderful body training technique. Liu Sheng didn't know what the breathing method and body training technique that the One Piece zombie had practiced before his death, but he was sure. These two methods of practice are much more advanced than the 13th version of the body training technique he is practicing now, which is known as the joint creation of the Masters of the World Martial Arts League. Very many. It turns out that this is the real treasure in the dream. Liu Sheng clenched his fist hard, his eyes burning. His biggest advantage is that no matter how complicated the practice methods and skills he got in his dreams, he can use them smoothly without any barriers due to the bonus of the practitioner's previous memory. This directly saved Liu Sheng a lot of time and energy, and it was a shortcut for Tong Tian. After a short rest, Liu Sheng walked out of the room, looking for food that could replenish energy. Fortunately, there are still a lot of bread and fruit in the refrigerator. Liu Sheng ate and drank a lot, barely filling his stomach. Then go back to the room and continue to practice the mysterious body training technique that contains 268 movements. Liu Sheng did this exercise 4 times in a row, and he was almost obsessed with the pleasure of clearly perceiving the growth of his own strength. At the end of the practice, Liu Sheng was so exhausted that he found it difficult to even move his little finger. He even had an illusion. My body is like a sponge that has been wrung out countless times, completely wringing out all the water, and slumped limply on the yoga mat. The belated sleepiness finally began to sweep over Liu Sheng's brain. Liu Sheng fell into a deep sleep. Then woke up again from the dream. Looking at the familiar grey and oppressive sky above his head, Liu Sheng felt at ease for the first time. On the wilderness in the distance, zombies wandering around in the grey mist can be vaguely seen. Liu Sheng grinned, with an expression on his face as if a pervert saw a young girl, and rushed towards those zombies. Lu Sheng, go online later, Wu He is short of you. As soon as the school bell rang, Lu Kaiming rushed over to greet Lu Sheng. Lu Sheng shook his head and refused, no. Going back to catch up on sleep again? Haven't you stopped having nightmares recently? Lu Kaiming couldn't understand. Lu Sheng said lightly, it's not about catching up on sleep, it's about practicing, preparing for the college entrance examination. Cut. Lu Kaiming had a disdainful expression on his face. Which one of us is with whom? You still pretend in front of me. Lu Sheng didn't bother to explain to him. People like Lu Kaiming simply don't understand how much joy is in cultivation. The pleasure of rapid growth in strength is simply not what computer games can bring. Forget it, it's up to you. Seeing that Lu Sheng was determined, Lu Kaiming stopped persuading him. Anyway, you're only hot for 3 minutes. Based on his understanding of Lu Sheng, in a few days, the mental head on Lu Sheng would pass away. At that time, the two of them will not be double swordsmen in internet cafes. Will the ghosts of the canyon be worried? It's time to go to the martial arts hall to test again. On the way home, Lu Sheng was thinking to himself while walking. It has been a week since he went to the martial arts gym for a test last time. During these 7 days, Lu Sheng indulged in practice every day, just like being poisoned. As soon as I got home from school, I would go back to my room and do body exercises a few times to enjoy myself. After dinner, I would do a few more sets. Then I would go to bed on time at 10 o'clock, hunt zombies in my dreams, and absorb memories. If it wasn't for not having a proper reason to explain to the school and parents, he would even skip classes and practice at home every day. I'm here to rent the equipment and do a test. It was the last time at the Hongchuan Martial Arts Gym. Lu Sheng came to the testing room familiarly. Take blood first, test qi and blood. Lu Sheng watched the blue light of the tester gently scan his blood. He was extremely looking forward to his current test results. After a week of hard work, with the double blessing of the mysterious body training technique and the breathing method, what kind of height can I achieve? Drop. Vigor and blood value, 1.324. Lu Sheng clenched his fists hard, his eyes filled with surprise. Reasonable, unexpected results. Compared with the previous test, the blood value has skyrocketed by 0.36, which is close to 0.4. Others who take drugs every day are not as fast as he is. Test the combat power again. Lu Sheng walked to the instrument for measuring combat strength, inhaled, and punched. Compared with the previous test, Lu Sheng punches faster now, and his movements are more concise and smooth. This is also due to the large number of combat skills absorbed during this period, among which there are many experience skills related to unarmed combat. Lu Sheng's punching style now is no less than those old boxers who have violated their boxing skills for 10 or 20 years. Boom! There was a muffled sound, and a number jumped out from the combat effectiveness testing instrument. Please collect the flower evaluation ticket monthly ticket, thank you. 009 fake, 9th. 168. A strong light shot out from Lu Sheng's eyes. This result surprised even himself. The combat effectiveness index is 168, already exceeding the combat effectiveness standard of a first-level official warrior. That is to say, as long as I can make up the blood value, I will soon be able to participate in the first-level warrior assessment. Lu Sheng was very excited. The goal that I didn't even dare to think about, in just 1 week, is close at hand, as if it is within reach. This feeling is quite strange. The gap between the combat power index and the blood value has widened. This situation can only be achieved by those geniuses who also practice martial arts. Now, I can also be regarded as a genius. Lu Sheng was smiling. He could imagine how surprised his teachers, classmates, and family members would be if his current strength exploded. You have used our Hongchuan martial arts secret medicine bath to assist your practice for so long, and your blood value should have increased a lot. Let's test it. There were footsteps and voices at the door. Sheng moved his ears, quickly cleared the data on the tester, and then walked out the door. When approaching the door, Sheng saw a tall, smooth-skinned beauty leading a young man about his age walking towards him, passing him by. It's a student who came to rent an instrument for testing, probably from a nearby high school. Shuang glanced at Sheng who was walking out of the door, and casually said to the young man beside him. Students like this who can't even afford a tester at home probably won't get very good grades. The young man behind Shuang smiled. The young man has fair skin and looks a bit handsome. His clothes are much more refined than those of ordinary families, and he speaks with a natural sense of superiority. Maybe. Shuang nodded. Although the boy's tone of voice made her a little uncomfortable, it was undeniable that what the other party said was not wrong. As the saying goes, poor culture and rich military. In martial arts practice, resources also accounted for a large part of the factor. A child from a well-to-do family eats various supplements since childhood, and before he starts to practice, his blood value is much higher than that of others, and he still has spare energy to practice various martial arts in the future, and the gap between him and his peers continues to widen. And children from poor families can't even eat enough, and taking supplements once in a while will cost the whole family's savings. How can they compete with those children from rich families? It was as if the child who had just walked out had become so skinny, obviously lacking nutrition for a long time. Let's do a test first. Shuang calmed down and instructed the young man to start the test. The test results will come out soon. The blood value is 1.253, and the combat power index is 130. The young man said happily, the blood value has increased by 0.03 compared to half a month ago. Senior sister this medicinal bath is really effective. It is much better than the supplements I usually take. Shuang also showed a smile on her face, and explained, if you usually take too many tonics, there will naturally be some remaining medicinal power accumulated in your body. Our family's medicinal bath is to stimulate these medicinal powers in your body. The effect in the first month will indeed be significant, and then it will gradually weaken, and you need to continue to take various supplements for assistance. Supplements? My family has a lot of them. The point is that they are effective. The young man waved his hand nonchalantly. The increase in qi and blood value made him very excited. Suddenly, his eyes rolled, as if remembering, he quickly walked to the instrument that Sheng used just now, and said to Shuang, Senior sister can you call up the test results of that guy just now? I want to see how big the gap is with others. The object you want to compare now should be the geniuses in the school, the top students, not ordinary people. I know, I just want to increase my self-confidence, senior sister please. Shuang couldn't resist the young man's plea, so she walked to the instrument helplessly, and recalled the result of the previous tester. That guy is as thin as a bamboo pole, and his blood value is probably not even 1. He should be a little older than me. Hee. As the young man muttered, a sense of pleasure after his vanity was satisfied began to appear on his face. But when the data was presented in front of him, the young man's expression suddenly froze. The whole person stayed in place, staring straight at the data on the display screen, as if he couldn't believe his eyes. The blood value is 1.324, and the combat power index is 168. Really? The boy screamed directly, and shouted in disbelief, that guy just now, can his blood value be so much higher than mine? Shuang was also taken aback. With a blood value of 1.32, in Beihe City, no matter which high school it is, it can be regarded as an upper-level result. However, what was even more exaggerated was the combat power index of 168, which exceeded the blood value standard by more than 30, which proved that the opponent obviously had considerable attainments in actual combat. When I had qi and blood at 1.3, my combat power wasn't that exaggerated. Just now, the young man who I thought was from a poor family and malnourished at a glance, is actually an out-and-out genius? Senior sister and I, have you adjusted the wrong data? Impossible, this is unscientific, why does that guy? The boy was still fiddling around the instrument, muttering unwillingly. He originally wanted to find some sense of superiority from Liu Sheng, but he was severely beaten, and now he is not to mention how depressed he is. Okay, if you know how good others are, don't work harder. When the college entrance examination, there are still many geniuses like this. While comforting, Ni Shuang secretly remembered the appearance of Liu Sheng she had seen before. Please collect the flower evaluation ticket monthly ticket, thank you. 010 bottleneck, 10th update. Puff breath. In the room, Liu Sheng sat on the ground in a strange posture. As his movements continued to change, his breathing was also constantly adjusted in a wonderful rhythm. After finishing the last movement, Liu Sheng relaxed his body. Sweat flowed down his muscle lines like a stream, and his whole body was emitting a faint heat as if he had just stepped out of a steam room. The fighting zombies in the dream have basically practiced this body training technique before they were alive. Everyone has different levels of proficiency and proficiency in different parts. Now I can perfectly perform the whole set of movements very proficiently. The same set of body training techniques, let different people practice, the effect of practice will be different. For example, you are better at the first 30 movements, and I am better at the last 30 movements. Different movements correspond to different muscle groups, and the result is the difference in physical fitness of each person. And Liu Sheng absorbed the memories of so many zombies in one-piece suits, and integrated almost everyone's good parts, so that his attainments in this set of body training techniques and matching breathing techniques have reached a very high level. The results are still very good, I can feel it almost every day, and there are muscle groups that have not been exercised before. If it is said that this body training technique develops the human body 100%, then the 24 body training exercises promoted by the Wu Meng may not even develop 1% of the human body. The gap between these two sets of body training techniques is really too big. Liu Sheng couldn't help sighing. After practice, Liu got up and wiped his body briefly with a towel. Just after changing into dry clothes, there was a familiar knock on the door. Liu Sheng, come out to eat. No. Liu Sheng replied, quickly packed up and walked out of the room. The whole family was already waiting for him at the dinner table. There were 7 or 8 dishes on the table, most of which were meat dishes. On the place belonging to Liu Sheng, there was a pot full of white rice. That's right, a pot. Because I can't find a container bigger than a pot at home. Xiao Sheng, come and eat. Mother Zheng Yufen asked Liu Sheng to sit down. Liu Sheng nodded, sat down and began to dig into the rice. Over the past week, Liu Sheng's appetite has become more and more exaggerated. From the beginning, it was only twice the size of her younger sister Liu Qinghe, and now it is close to 5 times the size of Liu Qinghe. There are 2 big eaters in the family, and my mother Zheng Yufen is also a big project to cook every day. Really edible. Liu Qinghe looked at Liu Sheng's face buried in the rice, muttered something, and then, not to be outdone, took a few bites of rice into his own mouth. Liu Dahai looked at the pair of children eating with a smile, and was in a good mood. Open up and eat, there is a lot of food. What's wrong with Xiao Sheng recently? After eating so much, he's getting thinner and thinner. Zheng Yufen squeezed Liu Sheng's well-defined arm, and said with some concern. What do you know, boys develop like this. Liu Dahai put a piece of pork ribs into Liu Sheng's rice bowl, and asked with a smile, have you measured your qi and blood recently? Has it gone up? Without raising his head, Liu said sullenly, I tested it, and it has risen a little. There was light in Liu Haihe's eyes, and he couldn't help asking, how much has it increased? Quick, break one soon. With rice in his mouth, Liu Sheng replied vaguely. He didn't dare to tell the truth, for fear of scaring his parents, and it was hard to explain. It's about to break one. Okay, okay. Even though most of the progress was concealed, this result surprised Lu Haihei very much. I'll buy some supplements for you tomorrow, and the blood value will increase. It can't be supplemented by just eating. Lu Sheng raised his head, his gaze stayed on the plaster sticking out of his father Lu Dahai's shoulder for a while, and he didn't speak. Lu Dahai is just an ordinary porter, and his mother's salary in the supermarket is not high. For such a family, it is quite difficult to support the daily martial arts practice of 2 children. Buying extra supplements will only make the burden on parents even heavier. From the usual chats between his parents, Lu Sheng learned that Lu Dahai had already started looking for work to work overtime after get off work, and his mother was also doing other part-time jobs. Must find a way to make money. Lu Sheng secretly made up his mind. On the wilderness shrouded in grey mist, 2 figures were fighting. Lu Sheng's opponent is a zombie wearing a blue jumpsuit. This type of zombie was much stronger than the zombies in grey jumpsuits he had encountered before. More powerful, faster, and even retains certain fighting skills. This is the one in front of him. The blue jumpsuit zombie roared, stretched out its thick arms and grabbed Lu Sheng fiercely. The arm made a hoo sound of breaking through the air on the way. Lu Sheng's eyes remained unchanged, he took a few steps forward, and put his shoulder against the blue jumpsuit zombie's big arm to block the punch. Then he quickly reached out and hugged the latter's neck in an ambiguous gesture. Down! Give it a hard yank! The knee blasted out like a cannonball, hitting the zombie's chin hard. Crack! The head of the zombie in the blue one-piece suit showed a strange angle, completely hanging behind the shoulders. After shaking for a while, he fell to the ground. The corpse quickly weathered, and a black line of smoke emerged, quickly entering Lu Sheng's body. Squad leader, good at boxing. When Lu Sheng opened his eyes, it meant that the memory had been absorbed. This elite monster in blue jumpsuit brought Lu Sheng a lot. After absorbing this memory, Lu Sheng felt that his understanding of boxing had reached a new level. It seems to have touched a bottleneck faintly. Upwards is a new world. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. 011 Change 1. Fist, palm, leg, footwork. Every fighting zombie has its own specialties. Although these memories overlap to some extent, they also complement each other, like a puzzle, complementing my deficiencies in actual combat skills bit by bit. So far, boxing has the most memories, and it is also the first to touch this kind of bottleneck. Lu Sheng thought to himself. The biggest benefit that the dream world brought him was that he could continuously absorb memories and integrate them into himself. Lu Sheng easily obtained the results that others spent a lot of time and energy on. This is equivalent to Lu Sheng stepping on the shoulders of countless predecessors and moving forward quickly. During this period of time, absorbing the memories of a large number of zombies in one-piece suits, in addition to making Lu Sheng's progress in martial arts practice leaps and bounds, there is another gain. It's the news about base 1359. With clues obtained from memories, Lu Sheng gradually pieced together a real route to base 1359. The direction is right, as long as I keep walking, sooner or later I will find base 1359. And this day should not be far away. Lu Sheng looked ahead, where was shrouded in a large amount of grey fog, occasionally 1 or 2 shambling figures flashed in the fog. With a firm gaze, he strode over. About the solution to this problem. In class, Lu Sheng listened carefully to the teacher's lecture. Since his practice became regular, Lu Sheng found that his brain has become much more flexible. According to Lu Sheng's guess, a large amount of memories should be absorbed in the dream, and the storage process of these memories stimulated the development of the brain, which improved his memory, brain operation speed and other aspects. In other words, to be smarter. Speaking of fantasy, that is the improvement of understanding. Anyway, now that Liu Sheng is studying textbook knowledge, he feels very relaxed. Knowledge points that I couldn't understand before, but now I can understand them after reading it once, and I became a student master directly. Liberal arts knowledge is not completely useless to Liu Sheng. After all, the college entrance examination also requires liberal arts, but it doesn't add much to the total score. Okay, after class. As the bell rang for the end of get out of class, the math teacher stopped the lecture and announced the end of the get out of class. By the way, he reminded, the next class is a practical class, students remember to gather in the practical classroom early. After finishing speaking, the math teacher walked out with the textbook and teacup in hand. Liu Sheng tidied up his class notes and books, and prepared to leave the classroom after tidying up. Practical classes are usually arranged in the school's Wuguan Road, which is a few minutes away from the teaching building. In addition to changing clothes, you have to leave immediately if you want to avoid being late for class. This is why even a math teacher dare not delay the class. Hey, Liu Sheng! As soon as he walked out of the classroom, Liu Sheng heard someone calling him from behind. Lu Kaiming ran up quickly, subconsciously wanting to hug his shoulder. But halfway through his hand, he retracted inexplicably. Wait for me, let's go together. Lu Kaiming didn't know what happened to him either. In the past, he and Liu Sheng often played and joked, and all kinds of physical contact did not matter. But now, when he was close to Liu Sheng, he actually felt an inexplicable sense of timidity. Just like there is an invisible aura surrounding Liu Sheng's body, repelling him fiercely. You have really changed a lot recently. Lu Kaiming tried to walk beside Liu Sheng, but his tone of voice was a little cautious unconsciously. Yet, Liu Sheng didn't notice Lu Kaiming's strangeness, and replied casually, after all, the college entrance examination is coming, and you know my family's situation. If you don't work hard, you will completely become a burden to the family. That's right. Our family conditions are similar, so I'm going to start working hard. Lu Kaiming deliberately took a step behind Liu Sheng, and immediately felt a lot more relaxed after following him. He didn't have to face the aggressive aura emanating from Liu Sheng, he could speak more smoothly. But my family is better than yours. I'm the only one in my family. Liu Sheng nodded. Lu Kaiming's words are correct, if there is only one him in their family, or only his younger sister Liu Qinghe, the pressure on the parents will undoubtedly be much less. However, your sister's talent is so good, it won't be a problem for her to be admitted to Wuhan University in the future, get a full scholarship, and various other subsidies. The locker room is here, let me open the door for you. Lu Kaiming quickly ran past Liu Sheng and opened the locker room door for Liu Sheng one step ahead. The two who were supposed to be best friends, now one of them seems to be reduced to the other's follower, but Lu Kaiming didn't realize this at all, as if everything was logical and as it should be. Scholarship. There was a light of thought in Liu Sheng's eyes. Lu Kaiming's words gave him an inspiration. He has been thinking about how to make money recently. On the one hand, it is to reduce the burden on the family, so that parents don't have to work so hard. On the other hand, with the continuous improvement of his martial arts cultivation, he must need a lot of money to support it. Take the simplest food as an example. Liu Sheng now eats those ordinary meals, which are increasingly unable to keep up with the nutrients needed to increase his blood value. If it continues, it will inevitably slow down his progress, and it will also become a terrible dung-making machine. The way Liu Sheng thought of making money before was to become a first-level official warrior, so that he could receive a monthly allowance of several thousand yuan from the Wu Meng. The money could be used to buy some things to replenish energy and blood. Now Lu Kaiming's words made him think of another way, scholarship. Every school will give some material rewards to students with good academic performance, and Beihe No. 3 Middle School is no exception. I remember that the first-class scholarship of Beihe No. 3 Middle School seems to be a full 10,000 yuan. If you can get this money. Liu Sheng suddenly had an idea in his heart. And if he wants to win this money, he must show some talent and strength that a first-class scholarship winner should possess. 012 Trick 2. Liu Sheng, how did you lose so much weight? In the locker room, Liu Sheng and Lu Kaiming were changing the martial arts uniforms required for the actual combat class. Liu Sheng, who took off his coat and pants, showed a body with clear lines and smooth lines like a cheetah. It's just a little thinner, which is due to the rapid growth of qi and blood and insufficient nutrition. Hair needs a cut. Liu Sheng looked at his familiar yet unfamiliar face in the mirror. Thin, handsome, with the knife-like sharp light occasionally bursting out of his deep, dark eyes. Even if he just stood there calmly now, he would give people an inexplicable sense of shock. It makes people feel hairy, just like when ordinary people encounter wild animals such as tigers and leopards in the wild. This is the result of the increase in qi and blood and the absorption of a large amount of dream memory, which Liu Sheng himself hadn't noticed before. I've grown a little taller. Liu Sheng changed into the martial arts uniform, looking at the obviously short sleeves and trouser legs, thinking silently in his heart. His previous height was 175. During this period of practice, his height skyrocketed to nearly 1.8 meters, and the martial arts suit that originally fit him immediately looked smaller. After changing their clothes, Liu Sheng and Lu Kaiming walked into the Budokan together. The entire Budokan is very large, and it is divided into pieces of fields made of upholstered mats. Each field is equivalent to a practice classroom for combat lessons. They were obviously not the only class attending classes during this time period. Liu Sheng and Lu Kaiming found their class venue and walked over quickly. Everyone sat in a circle around the edge of the field, and a middle-aged man with a muscular body and slightly tight loose martial arts uniform stood in the middle. This actual combat lesson is to consolidate what I taught you before, the content of basic fighting skills. The teacher of the actual combat class was Zhong Zhenqiu, an official second-level warrior. It was said that he had been on the battlefield and had confronted strange beasts head-on. The huge scar on Zhong Zhenqiu's deliberately exposed right arm is the best evidence. This is also the capital he is most proud of, and he has boasted to the students more than once in class. Next, Zhong Zhenqiu began to formally explain the use of various fighting techniques to the students, and even called a boy to go up to practice with him. In Liu Sheng's view, these fighting skills taught by Zhong Zhenqiu are simple and superficial, and what he absorbed from the dream memory is far superior to these. Call Yang Yifei to go up every time, can't we give ordinary people a chance? Shit! Liu Sheng suddenly heard Lu Kaiming beside him complaining sourly. Only then did he notice the boy Zhong Zhenqiu called up to practice martial arts with him. The boy's name is Yang Yifei, he comes from a good family background, his martial arts grades are top-notch in his grade, coupled with his handsome appearance, he is quite popular even in school. Now, Yang Yifei, who was wearing a white martial arts uniform and cooperated with Zhong Zhenqiu in his calm moves, attracted the eyes of the girls below. If you were given a chance, you wouldn't be able to grasp it. Even if you withdrew your strength, Mr. Zhong's fist wouldn't be able to catch everyone. Liu Sheng glanced at Lu Kaiming and said calmly. Lu Kaiming's face turned red, and he muttered, who made Yang Yifei's family well off, and took all kinds of tonics for food, and I heard that his blood value is almost 1.2. Lu Kaiming looked unconvinced, as if he and Yang Yifei were raised in the same environment, he would definitely be able to do better than Yang Yifei. Liu Sheng didn't talk to him anymore, but just watched Zhong Zhenqiu and Yang Yifei's demonstration calmly. On the surface, it looks like he is listening carefully, but in fact Liu Sheng has already been thinking about the scholarship in his mind. When, what method to use, and raise this matter with the teacher. Okay, the demonstration is almost done. Next, let two students come up to the actual combat, and I will guide alone. After Zhong Zhenqiu finished the drill, he casually called out to Yang Yifei who was beside him, "Yang Yifei, don't go down, and find another person to practice with you." "Yes." Yang Yifei looked normal, as if he was used to such special treatment. "Which classmate is willing to come up and challenge Yang Yifei?" Zhong Zhenqiu asked loudly, and the students below all avoided wherever his eyes swept. "Is there no one?" Zhong Zhenqiu frowned slightly, a little dissatisfied. Every time they talk about actual combat exercises, these students shrink back, like ostriches, wishing to bury their heads in the ground, so how can he teach them? Many people privately said that he was partial to the top students in his class. These people don't even think about it carefully. Every time in such a situation, apart from top students like Yang Yifei, how many people would dare to stand up and accept his guidance? Many people like to complain that there is no opportunity, but they don't understand that opportunities slip away quietly when they shrink back again and again. Zhong Zhenqiu glanced at each student, feeling gradually disappointed. Just when he was about to order someone to come up casually, he suddenly met a pair of dark and deep eyes. Zhong Zhenqiu's eyes lit up, and his eyes fell on a thin student with calm eyes. Among the crowd avoiding his gaze, a person who dared to look him in the eyes suddenly appeared, so eye-catching and abrupt. "Okay, that classmate is you. You come up to practice with Yang Yifei." Zhong Zhenqiu pointed to the student who was different and said loudly. "Lu Sheng, teacher Zhong is calling you." Lu Sheng recovered from his thoughts, and suddenly realized that he had been hit by Zhong Zhenqiu and asked him to come on stage to practice against Yang Yifei. 013 Shocked, 3. The classmates on the left and right looked at Lu Sheng with gloating and speculative eyes, and even Lu Kaiming gave him a self-seeking look. Little transparent students like him and Lu Sheng are as likely to win the lottery if they are selected by the teacher to answer questions in class. I don't know what kind of unlucky Lu Sheng is today, to be selected as a training partner in the actual combat class. Lu Sheng quickly calmed down. If you are clicked, you will be clicked, and it's not like you haven't been clicked before. He stood up and walked towards the middle of the field. When Lu Sheng stood up, Zhong Zhenqiu froze for a moment. At that moment, he had an illusion, as if he saw a fierce tiger slowly getting up from the pile of sheep. The temperament naturally exuded from Lu Sheng made Zhong Zhenqiu almost think that what he saw was not an ordinary high school student, but a warrior who had experienced many battles walking towards him. "Teacher." Lu Sheng walked up to Zhong Zhenqiu and greeted him calmly. Zhong Zhenqiu noticed the strong, streamlined, and powerful muscle lines exposed under Lu Sheng's obviously short sleeves, and his eyes brightened. "Why didn't I find out before that there is such a good seed in the class?" Zhong Zhenqiu looked Lu Sheng up and down with a faint appreciation, and asked, "What's your name?" "Lu Sheng." "What was the score of the last blood test?" Lu Sheng thought for a while and replied truthfully, 0.802. "Is it only 0.8? It's a bit low. It doesn't look like it." Zhong Zhenqiu frowned. "Could it be that I have lost my sight?" Zhong Zhenqiu shook his head, did not continue to think deeply, and said, "You come to practice with Yang Yifei, and use the fighting skills I just taught. After the end, I will point out the shortcomings of your movements." "Yes." Lu Sheng nodded, then walked to stand opposite Yang Yifei. With a relaxed expression, Yang Yifei nodded slightly at Lu Sheng, and reminded, "My blood value is already 1.22, and it might be a little heavy later, so be careful." Lu Sheng didn't feel anything, just nodded casually. There were low exclamations from the group of students below. "Damn it! Yang Yifei's blood value is 1.22, and I haven't even reached 0.9. It's too strong, I'm afraid it can be ranked in the top 10 of the grade." As expected of Yang Yifei. Hearing these exclamation voices, Yang Yifei was obviously benefited. With a faint, confident, and calm smile on his face, he said to Lu Sheng, "Are you ready?" I'm coming. Can. Liu Sheng nodded. I am coming. Yang Yifei let out a low cry, and he sprang out like a cheetah, rushing towards Liu Sheng quickly. Even Zhong Zhenqiu, who was watching from the sidelines, couldn't help but nodded slightly when he saw his performance. As for the students watching below, they were already prepared to be amazed. The little stars in the eyes of each girl also began to coalesce and take shape. Lu Keiming even turned his head slightly, looking at Liu Sheng with an expression of not being able to bear to look directly at him. Then, the next moment, boom! A figure flew out from the middle of the field, flew 5 or 6 meters away, and fell heavily to the ground. Yang Yifei is so handsome. Yang Yifei. A girl's adoring voice sounded in time, which seemed particularly abrupt. The girl was halfway through shouting when she suddenly realized something was wrong. All the people around kept quiet, and stared fixedly at the center of the field with an expression she couldn't understand at all. The girl turned her head to take a closer look, and was stunned for a moment. On the edge of the venue, the pale and embarrassed figure clutching his chest was the male god she admired, Yang Yifei. As for Liu Sheng, he was still standing in the middle of the field, and he didn't seem to have even moved a step. Quiet. The place fell into an eerie silence. Everyone stared at Liu Sheng in a daze, and Yang Yifei who fell to the ground with a pained expression, and couldn't believe their eyes. Liu Sheng, with just one move, his blood value exceeded 1.2, and Yang Yifei, a genius ranked in the top 10 in his grade, was sent flying. They wonder if they are dreaming. Even Zhong Zhenqiu was stunned. Then he realized something very quickly. I didn't look away. Hurry up, find 2 people to help Yang Yifei go to the infirmary. Zhong Zhenqiu gave orders quickly, and the others just woke up from a dream and acted quickly. It's just that looking at Liu Sheng's eyes again, it's like looking at a monster. Mr. Zhong, I just... Liu Sheng tried to explain to Zhong Zhenqiu that it was not on purpose that he did not want to use the martial arts he taught. But when Yang Yifei rushed over, his fighting instinct drove him to do so subconsciously. When he realized that he wanted to cooperate with the duel, Yang Yifei had already flown out. Who knew he couldn't help but fight? Stop talking, just follow me. With a wave of Zhong Zhenqiu's hand, he greeted Liu Sheng and walked out in a hurry, not caring whether the practical lesson was over or not. Liu Sheng could only follow obediently. After the two left, a burst of heated discussions erupted in the venue. Damn it! Is Liu Sheng on drugs? Why is he so violent? Even Yang Yifei can't beat him. That guy is Liu Sheng, right? The Liu Sheng we know. Yang Yifei's qi and blood is 1.22, but he couldn't even stop Liu Sheng at once, so how much is Liu Sheng's qi and blood worth? Hiss! Amidst the exclamations and discussions, Lu Keiming opened his mouth wide and stared blankly at the direction Liu Sheng was going away, his mind is still in a daze. Ask for a flower, an evaluation ticket, and a comment, thank you. 014 Genius. 4. Didn't you say that your last blood test score was 0.8? Does this look like 0.8? As soon as Zhong Zhenqiu brought Liu Sheng to the office, he stared at him fiercely. Liu Sheng was a little helpless, and said, Mr. Zhong, you also said that what you asked about was the result of the last test. Zhong Zhenqiu was at a loss for words for a moment, thought for a while and said, I'll give you another test now. Liu Sheng nodded. After a while, the test results came out. Zhong Zhenqiu sat down on the chair, and fixedly looked at Liu Sheng with a complex look that was hard to describe in words. It's a kind of shock with joy, joy with surprise, surprise with doubt. Doubt about yourself, doubt about facts. Complex eyes. When was the last time you were tested? Zhong Zhenqiu took a deep breath, tried to calm himself down, and asked Liu Sheng. Liu Sheng thought for a while and replied, the last monthly exam took about less than a month. If it is counted as a private test, it should have been a week ago. Less than a month ago. Zhong Zhenqiu didn't know what to say. He glanced at the test results again. Blood value, 1.532. Combat Power Index, 192. Two jaw-dropping statistics. It has exceeded the evaluation standard of a first-level warrior. Although the testing equipment in the school is not as accurate as that of the Wu Meng, the fluctuation will not be too large, and the actual results are basically close to each other. That is, the student named Liu Sheng standing in front of him now can already be said to be an official first-level warrior. He is only less than 18 years old this year, and there are more than 200 days before the college entrance examination. In their Beihe No. 3 middle school, in the actual combat class he led by Zhong Zhenqiu, there was a real first-level martial artist who was less than 18 years old. Zhong Zhenqiu still needs to digest this result carefully. Although it is said that a first-level martial artist who is less than 18 years old is not that great in Long Country or Beihe City. However, among them Beihe-san, that is definitely the top genius, do meow meow. At least none of the college entrance examination freshmen of Beihe No. 3 middle school and senior 3 can reach this height, and there are almost none. Moreover, Zhong Zhenqiu saw more than this. What he really valued was the combat effectiveness index of the student named Liu Sheng in front of him, as well as his performance in the actual combat class. The combat power of 192 exceeds the blood value standard by more than 40. You know, before becoming an official first level, oh no, it should be a third level warrior. The combat power index of a warrior basically follows the blood value. Because the blood value represents speed and strength. How much qi and blood you have, will naturally be able to play as much destructive power. There is a threshold for a warrior from level 3 to level 4, and many people will stay at this stage, exercising their muscles and bones. At this time, the role of martial arts will really begin to manifest, and the combat effectiveness of warriors will also have a relatively large leap. Before that, skills might bring about various gaps in actual combat, but the increase in combat power was very small. Just like Zhong Zhenqiu himself, a second-level warrior. The qi and blood value is 15, and the combat power is only more than 1,500, which exceeds the standard of qi and blood value by dozens of points. Looking back on it like this, Liu Sheng, who was able to pull the combat power index to more than 40 points above the standard of blood value at the first level of martial artist. What a monster! In the actual combat class, others didn't see Liu Sheng's move to fly Yang Yifei, but he saw it clearly. Even he was a little amazed at the skill displayed in Liu Sheng's punch. This is definitely a fighting martial arts genius. At this time, Zhong Zhenqiu had an extremely strong premonition in his heart. They Beihe No. 3 middle school, this time. Maybe you really found a treasure. Liu Sheng watched Zhong Zhenqiu's eyes flickering quietly, probably thinking about something quickly. After being a little nervous at the beginning, Liu Sheng has completely calmed down now. Although the exposure of his strength this time caught him off guard, but think about it carefully. This happened to be a good opportunity. It happened to take this opportunity to apply for a scholarship to the school. With his current strength, there was no reason why he would not be able to pass. This test also gave Liu Sheng a new understanding of his own strength. He has almost reached the evaluation standard of a first-level warrior, and it is time to participate in the formal assessment of a first-level warrior. Now Liu Sheng is really short of money. At this time, Zhong Zhenqiu also sorted out his mood. With your current grades, you can apply to enter the school's top class. Zhong Zhenqiu also didn't ask why Liu Sheng's qi and blood nearly doubled in a month. Nothing more than a few. He has been hiding his strength before. The body suddenly enters a period of rapid development, and the talent hidden before is gradually developed. These two situations have happened to other students, and there is no need to delve into it. If the pursuit is tight, it may also arouse students' resentment. Teacher, I think it's good to stay in the current class, and there is no need to change classes. Lu Sheng replied. Zhong Zhenqiu nodded with a complicated expression. He also didn't think it was necessary. The cultivation of qi and blood value depends entirely on the students themselves, and what the school teachers can teach is nothing more than some practical skills. At this point, Lu Sheng has even surpassed many teachers. Then what request do you have? If you think the school can help you and provide you with convenience, you can put it forward now. Zhong Zhenqiu asked. Lu Sheng was waiting for this opportunity. I want to apply for the school's martial arts scholarship, and I hope to have more free time to go to school. Lu Sheng brought up two thoughts in his mind at the same time, and the second one came to him on the spur of the moment. Lu Sheng has always felt that his stay at school is more of a waste of time. If he can spend more time practicing body training and exploring dreams every day, his strength may grow faster. 015 Tiger and Sheep, 5. I'll apply for the school's special scholarship for you, 30,000 yuan, and the money will be in your hands in about 2 days. Regarding the class time, the school needs to hold a meeting to discuss it, but there should be no problem. After all, you are a genius. Geniuses should have some privileges. Zhong Zhenqiu quickly responded to Lu Sheng's request. Besides, I can promise you. If you represent our Beihe No. 3 middle school in the city and get a ranking in the city, the school will give you another reward. During the period before the college entrance examination, if you have any material requirements, you can also ask the school. As long as it's not too much, the school can satisfy you. And I personally can also give you some help. When Zhong Zhenqiu said this, his expression was quite formal, as if he had treated Lu Sheng as an equal existence. Lu Sheng could understand Zhong Zhenqiu's thoughts after a little thought. For a talented student with a bright future like him, now is undoubtedly the best time, and it is also the time to win him over with the least price. Thank you school, thank you teacher Zhong. Lu Sheng expressed his gratitude, thought for a while, and added, one more thing, Mr. Zhong. I hope that my current grades and the treatment I get at school will not inform my family for the time being. I see. Zhong Zhenqiu nodded. Regarding the sudden surge in Lu Sheng's strength, warriors like them can understand it, but it's hard to say it to ordinary families. In case Lu Sheng's parents find out after finding out about it and do something that will affect Lu Sheng's progress in martial arts practice, this is something that no one wants to see. It's nothing, Mr. Zhong, I'll go first. Go. Zhong Zhenqiu waved his hand and watched Lu Sheng walk out of the office. A few minutes after Lu Sheng left, Zhong Zhenqiu who was sitting on the chair suddenly jumped up. The calmness on his face no longer exists, replaced by deep joy and complacency. Lu Sheng, Lu Sheng came out of my Beihe No. 3 middle school. A first-level official warrior who is less than 18 years old, with a combat power close to 200. Before the college entrance examination, I have to hide Lu Sheng as a secret weapon. When the college entrance examination starts, I will scare those people in Zhong again. Haha, I am excited when I think of the expressions of those guys. The headmaster must be notified of this news as soon as possible. Zhong Zhenqiu walked out of the office with a happy face. When Lu Sheng returned to the class, the actual combat class had already ended, and all the students had already returned to class. When Lu Sheng walked into the class, the originally noisy classroom fell silent for an instant. Then all eyes focused on him. Shocked, amazed, curious, admiring, awe-inspiring. Lu Sheng walked back to his place with a normal expression. The moment after he sat down, the originally quiet classroom gradually became noisy again. It was as if, when the tiger stepped into the flock, the whole flock fell silent. And when the tiger rested, the panicked lambs resumed their hustle and bustle. Lu Sheng is that tiger. Not long after Lu Sheng took his seat, he saw the pale-faced Yang Yifei limping in while being supported by someone. He noticed Liu Sheng at a glance, and there was a look of resentment in his eyes. But when Liu Sheng's eyes met, Yang Yifei immediately shy away to avoid it. Obviously he was scared by Liu Sheng's punch in the actual combat class. Next to him, Lu Kaiming wanted to come up to talk to Liu Sheng several times. But he didn't dare to open his mouth several times. Lu Kaiming looked at Liu Sheng, who was sitting on the seat and was flipping through a book casually, feeling a little confused for a moment. He suddenly realized that the best friend around him had become so strange and distant. Beihe City, the central shopping mall. In a shop with the name Wu Yao Tang, a tall and straight boy in a school uniform was staring at the products on the counter and browsing. The shopping guide walked up to the boy and asked politely, "Sir, what kind of tonic do you want to buy?" The boy raised his head, revealing a handsome and thin face, and shook his head. "I'll just look around and not buy." "Okay." The shopping guide lady walked aside very tactfully. The boy dressed as a student in front of her is obviously not her potential customer group. This boy was exactly Liu Sheng, who came to hang out after school. A scholarship was about to be awarded, and Liu Sheng couldn't wait to run to the mall to plan the use of the money. It's not that he couldn't hold his breath and was thinking about how to spend it before Qian got it, but that he really wanted to increase his strength. In the past few days, with the continuous improvement of body training and breathing techniques, Liu Sheng felt more and more the strong hunger coming from his body all the time. That is a sign of the rapid growth of qi and blood and the shortage of the system. Every inch of muscle cell in his body is yearning for the nourishment of energy. Although his father Liu Dahai bought him a tonic to take last week, it was still a drop in the bucket, and there was not much relief. If such a malnutrition state is maintained for a long time, the body may cause permanent irreversible damage, and the strength may even regress. Because martial arts practice is actually a process of constantly tapping the potential of the human body. The increased qi and blood value of a warrior is the embodiment of the human body's potential being constantly stimulated. But the potential will be consumed, and if it is not replenished in time, it will in turn harm itself. The way to supplement is to take in a lot of external energy. Through food supplements, medicine supplements, etc. After all, the energy supplement that food can provide is a small amount, and the medicinal materials that are rich in a lot of nutrients needed by the human body are the bulk. And these precious medicines are naturally worth a lot. Therefore, poor culture and rich military is not a common saying that is casually said. There are two main types of supplements on the market: external application and internal application. External application is further divided into medicated baths, smears, acupuncture and moxibustion, sticking and so on. Compared with internal tonics, external tonics are milder in nature, faster and better absorbed. However, the operation is cumbersome and the conditions are harsh, and the benefit effect will become worse and worse with the number of times of use, and the prescription needs to be changed constantly. I still choose oral supplements. Liu Sheng has been focusing on oral tonics. However, the price of oral supplements made Liu Sheng frown. Ask for a flower, an evaluation ticket, and a comment. 016 Breaking through the bottleneck, a new realm of boxing. 6. The nourishing blood powder my father bought for me last week cost 3,000 yuan per pair. This is the most common tonic. There are also Pig's powder, Zhuanggu powder, Yang Yuan powder. Each price is much more expensive than Yangxiu powder. The most expensive Yang Yuan powder even costs 15,000 a pair, which is too exaggerated. Zhong Zhenqiu and Liu Sheng promised to win him a special scholarship of Beihe No. 3 Middle School, 30,000 yuan. Liu Sheng originally thought that the money was quite a lot, but now that he saw it, it was not enough at all. 30,000 yuan is only enough to buy 10 sets of Yangxiu powder and 2 sets of Yang Yuan powder. If Liu Sheng had applied for a first-class scholarship of 10,000 yuan according to Liu Sheng's original plan, he would not even be able to afford a pair of Yang Yuan powder. Martial arts practice is too expensive. Only now did Liu Sheng understand how much money he had spent behind those brilliant martial arts top students in the school, such as Yang Yifei. Children from ordinary families like him and Lu Kaiming, how can they compare with others, how can they compare? In this age of martial arts, it is too difficult for a noble son to come from a poor family. Liu Sheng also realized at the same time how heavy the burden on parents is. Liu Qinghe's idea is correct. With her martial arts aptitude, if she hadn't been dragged down by a mediocre big brother like me, her achievements would indeed be much higher than now. It's as if Liu Dahai decided to provide him and Liu Qinghe with 2 sets of nourishing blood powder each month. Liu family's limit. If all these 4 nourishing blood powders can be provided to Liu Qinghe alone, the result will naturally be obvious. Thinking about it this way, Liu Sheng's desire to make money became more determined. Whether it's for my own practice or for Liu Qinghe's martial arts path, I should work harder. Liu Sheng didn't look any further and walked out of the mall. The central shopping mall is quite far from the community where Liu Sheng lives. Liu Sheng chose to walk home instead of taking a bus. Under the daily high-intensity practice, the process of walking home like this is a good way for Liu Sheng to relax. Go for gold today, I have recently practiced swordsmanship, and I will take you to kill. Come on, I'm afraid it's not a nursery school. How dare you look down on my swordsman? Wait, I have to show you my skills. A few high school students in school uniforms and carrying school bags were playing around, running past Liu Sheng in groups and rushing into the nearest internet cafe. There was a ripple in Liu Sheng's heart. More than a month ago, he was like these people, dawdling in school every day, and there was an internet cafe after school. Just like a fish living in the sand, blinded by the illusion and turbidity in front of him, he is muddled every day, spinning in place without direction or motivation. Now, he came out of the water with a clear mind, knowing exactly what he wanted and where the way forward was. Do you regret it? Liu Sheng asked himself softly. I don't regret it. Liu Sheng answered firmly with calm eyes. It seems that he has given up some happiness, but now he is undoubtedly more fulfilled and satisfied. At this time, all kinds of boxing memories suddenly flashed in Liu Sheng's mind. A large number of fragmented pictures flashed across his eyes. At this moment, he seemed to grasp something. It seems like something is broken. Liu Sheng's mind became extremely clear, and something new was born in his heart. Breakthrough. Liu Sheng looked at his hands, feeling a little lost. He clearly felt that the boxing bottleneck he had achieved by absorbing a large amount of memory before was broken at this moment, and his understanding of boxing reached a new height. It's a state that's hard to describe. Get rid of the chaff and save the chaff, and look brand new. Now Liu Sheng feels like he can perfectly master any kind of boxing technique in his mind. It is possible to use boxing techniques to make the most appropriate response in different situations. Integrate. That's probably what it means. I heard the teacher say in class before that those powerful martial arts masters will get some wonderful insights in certain environments and moods, which will make their own martial arts undergo a great transformation. Know your mind. This situation is called epiphany in martial arts. Did I just have an epiphany? Liu Sheng didn't know. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. But that's also not important. He only knew that his strength should be improved again. If the current him fights against the previous him, the winner may be decided within a few strokes. This is the gap brought about by boxing attainments. Liu Sheng had the urge to go to the Hongchuan Martial Arts Hall to do another test right now, but he held back immediately. The strength of strength will not change because of the number of tests. Strength is your own, and you won't run away because you didn't test it in time. Besides, it's quite late today. If you delay for a while, you will inevitably be questioned by your parents when you go back. Thinking about it, Liu Sheng quickened his pace. I'm going back to my room. Liu Sheng put down the bowl and chopsticks, greeted his family members calmly, then turned and went back to the room. What's wrong with Xiao Sheng today? Is he feeling unwell? Mother Zheng Yufen looked at the bowl of rice in front of Liu Sheng, and said with some concern, "Today I ate half a bowl of rice less than yesterday." Liu Qinghe shook her head speechlessly, then got up and said, "Mom and Dad, I also went back to my room to exercise." Said that Liu Qinghe quickly ran back to his room. Perhaps because of the huge changes that happened to Liu Sheng recently, Liu Qinghe felt an inexplicable sense of crisis in his heart, and his practice became more diligent than before. Liu Dahai patted his wife's palm, and comforted him with a smile. "The child has grown up, is sensible, and knows to study hard. This is a good thing, and we don't need to worry about it. Oh, by the way, the money is for you, and I will give it back to Xiao Sheng, buy some big bones with Qinghe and make up for it. You went to pick up casual work again, didn't you still complain of back pain yesterday? Can your body take it? What's the matter? Just put on 2 plasters for me later. Where can I post it?" Listening to the conversation of his parents in the living room, Liu Sheng took a deep breath and slowly calmed down. After his qi and blood increased, his 5 senses were also greatly strengthened. Even through a door, he could still hear voices outside. A certain string in Liu Sheng's heart became more and more urgent. After doing 2 sets of exercises to clear away the distracting thoughts in his mind, Liu Sheng gradually fell into a dream state. Now he can easily control his brain to fall asleep in a very short time. 017.1359 Base 1. On the familiar wilderness, Liu Sheng's figure quietly appeared. A burly zombie immediately noticed Liu Sheng's appearance, and quickly rushed towards him with a low growl. Without any hesitation, Liu Sheng rushed forward quickly. Block, punch. In just 2 strokes, Liu Sheng wrung the neck of the burly zombie in unrecognizable clothes in front of him. A black line of smoke appeared and quickly merged into Liu Sheng's body. Martial arts practitioner. Liu Sheng breathed out lightly after absorbing the zombie's memory. My strength has indeed increased. The fight just now gave Liu Sheng a more intuitive understanding of his current strength. He had encountered this kind of burly zombie more than once before. This is a new type of fighting zombie that is different from the one-piece suit zombie, and its strength is erratic. Some are weaker than zombies in grey one-piece suits, while others are stronger than zombies in blue one-piece suits. The fighting power of this kind of zombie can only be barely distinguished by observing the opponent's size. The one that Liu Sheng just dealt with is not weak, it can even be said that it is the strongest he has ever encountered, both in terms of strength and speed. It is close to twice that of ordinary blue one-piece suit zombies. The combat power is estimated to have reached the standard of a first-class official warrior. But even so, he still couldn't survive 2 moves under Liu Sheng's hands. After the breakthrough, the boxing technique is very strong, which gives me a sense of calmness that can be easily manipulated. Against opponents whose skills are weaker than mine, it is almost like an adult beating a child. There was a bit of joy in Liu Sheng's eyes. After dealing with this zombie, Liu Sheng continued to move forward. He has been walking on the grey mist wilderness for an unknown amount of time, and according to his estimation, he should be very close to the number 1359 base in the memories of these zombies. According to the memory of the zombies before their death, base 1359 should have been destroyed in a black mist and an almost endless wave of alien beasts. It's strange that I haven't encountered a single alien beast for so long. Could it be that all the alien beasts lived in the ruins of the base? Or in other words, they withdrew after destroying the base? Liu Sheng is unknown. Although the strength of martial arts has improved rapidly, the dreamland is still a dangerous and unknown field for him. So far, Liu Sheng has never died in a dream, and he doesn't know what the consequences of dying in a dream will be. He doesn't want to try. Along the way, Liu Sheng killed several more zombies. The martial arts memories obtained from these zombies quickly filled his gaps in legwork, palm technique, footwork, etc., constantly approaching the bottleneck. At the same time, the boxing attainments that have reached a new level continue to climb slowly but firmly to a higher level. Just as Liu Sheng punched a zombie's head away and was absorbing memories, his eyes suddenly froze. Liu Sheng saw the direction directly in front of him. The grey mist dispersed like flowing water, and then the outline of a dilapidated and magnificent building slowly appeared in his field of vision. Finally reached. The legendary base 1359. Liu Sheng's heart was extraordinarily calm, and he was also more careful. Sometimes, the unknown also represents danger. What's more, Liu Sheng has witnessed countless times in his memory that base 1359 was submerged in the overwhelming tide of alien beasts. That feeling of despair and depression always weighed heavily on his heart like a boulder. Liu Sheng is fast but light on his feet. The closer to the giant city, the more zombies wandering in the grey mist, and as the number increased, the strength of these zombies also continued to increase. Liu Sheng already felt the strong and dangerous atmosphere that he had not seen for a long time from several zombies. Fortunately, the perception of these zombies has not improved much due to the improvement of individual strength. As long as he is careful enough, he will not attract their attention. Wang Shan ran to death. Liu Sheng ran for more than half an hour before gradually approaching the giant city. This is still the state of his running in a hurry. It is conceivable how big the giant city is. Finally, Liu Sheng came to the foot of the giant city. He hid under a ruined wall and looked up at the city in front of him. This majestic city was truly displayed in front of him. It is difficult to describe how big this city is. Liu Sheng needed to raise his neck to an angle close to the limit, so that he could barely see the top of the city wall. The whole city is surrounded by towering walls. This reminds Liu Sheng of an anime in his previous life where he hid in a huge siege against the evil titan. Compared with that anime, the city wall in front of me is undoubtedly much higher. It's hard to imagine that there is any power in this world that can tear apart such an impenetrable line of defense. But what Liu Sheng saw? But there are huge, shocking tear marks. From the outside, the whole city looks like a huge broken bowl full of gaps. The ruined wall that Liu Sheng is leaning on now is just an insignificant fragment knocked off the giant bowl. Thinking about the desperate scenes he saw in his memory, Liu Sheng's expression became serious. Perhaps the doomsday scenes he has seen in his memory are not even 1/10,000th of the real situation. Height determines field of view. Those zombies who could be easily killed by him, the desperation they could see during their lifetime was undoubtedly just the edge of the real horror. Base 1359, that is to say, there are at least 1,000 more bases like this. So, where are the remaining bases, and are they still intact? What has happened to the people in this world, and are there any survivors alive? Many doubts arose in Liu Sheng's heart. About the origin of this world, about the origin of his dream, about the mysterious body refining technique and breathing method he is practicing now. He walked towards the giant city. He felt that the truth was waiting for him ahead. 018 The Fallen Civilization, 2. Liu Sheng didn't see where the gate of the city wall was, so he found a huge gap that was torn from the top of the wall all the way to the bottom, and approached carefully. Just 10 meters away from him, there were several terrifying zombies wandering around. As long as Liu Sheng gets a little closer to them, he will feel a huge sense of horror that his scalp tingles. Right now, he feels like he just got out of Novice Village's trumpet and wandered around the map of high-level monsters. Any mob around him has the ability to instantly kill him. The closer you get to the base, the stronger the zombies will be. It's hard to imagine what kind of martial arts power these zombies, who gave me a huge sense of threat, were before they were alive. Liu Sheng sighed in his heart. No consciousness, no perception, only a bit of fighting instinct left in the body to drive. Such a state can bring him such a strong sense of danger. These zombies were definitely unimaginable masters before they were alive. Liu Sheng carefully kept a distance from each zombie. After repeated experiments, he found that the safe distance between him and the zombies was about 10 meters. As long as you don't get close to the zombies for 10 meters, you won't be discovered and attract hatred. Liu Sheng approached the gap he saw little by little, carefully avoiding the zombies wandering around. I couldn't hide, so I picked up a stone from the ground and threw it into the distance to attract the attention of the zombies. In this way, he successfully reached the foot of the target wall without any risk. Although the gap was big, it was still 7 or 8 meters high. Fortunately, Liu Sheng already possessed the strength of a first-level warrior, and his figure was strong. With the help of the depressions and gaps in the wall, he could easily climb onto the gap. I'm afraid the thickness of this city wall is more than 20 meters thick, and it was beaten like this. Liu Sheng walked in through the gap, secretly speechless. Walking all the way to the inside of the wall, the scene of the city was presented in front of Liu Sheng. All kinds of high-rise buildings, streets, and styles are very different from the real world where Liu Sheng lives. There are many means of transportation that Liu Sheng doesn't recognize scattered on the street. Although most of these have been destroyed and dilapidated now. But above the ruins shrouded in grey mist, Liu Sheng can still imagine how prosperous the city once was. The level of technological development should far exceed the world I am in now, and also surpass the previous life. Liu Sheng jumped off the city wall and landed on a vehicle that looked like a rowboat, with smooth lines and a sense of technology. It should be a world with a high degree of civilization, whether it is a technological civilization or a martial arts civilization. No wonder the body refining technique and breathing method I got from memory before are so powerful. One must know that in the world Liu Sheng lives in now, martial arts have only been developed for less than 300 years. Many aspects are in the groping stage. It was also mentioned in history books that when martial arts first emerged, the most powerful martial arts masters in the world were only at the 5th level. But now, human beings already have many 7th level masters, 8th level grand masters, and even 9th level martial arts saints. Such a powerful civilization is still falling under the claws of alien beasts. What about us? Liu Sheng was suddenly a little worried. In reality, his world is also fighting against the invasion of alien beasts. Even though martial arts experts among human beings continue to emerge, the living space of the entire human being is still being compressed and reduced. This is broadcast on the TV news every day. No matter what, it is a great opportunity for me to come here. This world has failed, my world may not fail. I can still absorb nutrients from this civilization, and when I become stronger in the future, I may be able to spread the advanced martial arts knowledge here. Liu Sheng's eyes became firm again, and at the same time, there was a heavy responsibility on his shoulders. This piece of devastated civilization ruins brought him too much shock and impact, and his mentality has also undergone some changes. There are a lot of zombies inside the city walls, but their strength is generally relatively weak, and it is rare to see a few advanced monsters. This is easy to explain. The city wall protects the vulnerable civilians, and those who are powerful naturally gather on the front line of the battlefield. Liu Sheng's exploration progressed a lot faster. He walked into a tall building. This is an ordinary residential building. Liu Sheng randomly found a house and walked in, but there was no one in the house. The house is divided into several small rooms, but the overall space is very small. There is a table in the middle of the living room, and some tableware and tableware are scattered on the table. Liu Sheng imagined that the family was eating at that time, and then the end suddenly came. Liu Sheng's mood was inexplicably depressed. There were no zombies in the house. Liu Sheng speculated that under the terrifying black mist, ordinary people might not even have the qualifications to transform into zombies. It is also possible that it once became a zombie, and after a long period of time, it decayed because it was too weak. Liu Sheng walked into a room and found something like a photo frame on the bedside table in the room, but there was no photo inside. Liu Sheng speculates that this may be something like an electronic photo album. After the energy is exhausted, the photos inside will naturally disappear. One of the remaining rooms should be the children's room. There is a small single bed in the corner of the room, as well as a bookcase and a desk. Liu Sheng tried to find some items that could record information. But the civilization of this world is too developed, and books have long been completely freed from the shackles of paper, so he got nothing. Finally, Liu Sheng found a palm-sized disc on the desk, which was lead grey in color and less than half a centimeter thick. There were traces of writing on it. Tianheng Technology. Liu Sheng wiped off the dust on the disc, and made out a few small characters engraved on the bottom of the disc. After reading these words, Liu Sheng was shocked. He actually knew these words? The characters used by this fallen civilization are exactly the same as those used in the real world. 019 Road to Perdition, 3. Parallel world? Or is there any connection between the two worlds? Liu Sheng's eyes flickered, and he felt as if he had grasped something. He quickly picked up the disc and studied it carefully. The surface of the disc is very smooth, no buttons can be seen. Liu Sheng didn't know what the disc was, so he could only search it inch by inch. Soon, he found a groove about 1 millimeter deep at the center of the disc. Liu Sheng stretched out his hand and found that the groove was about the size of his thumb. Fingerprint unlock. Liu Sheng thought, and gently put his thumb into the groove. After waiting for about a minute, Liu Sheng almost gave up. At this time, a sound of "di" was heard, and then the disc in his hand began to emit a faint blue light. The blue light is getting stronger and stronger, but it is not dazzling. This dusty and lifeless room seemed to gradually wake up with the appearance of this blue light. Welcome to use Tianheng Technology. A soft female voice came from the disc. Then the blue light on the disc began to quickly condense a female silhouette. It can really start. A trace of excitement welled up in Liu Sheng's heart. But this excitement didn't last long, the disc in his hand seemed to have exhausted all its energy, and quickly dimmed. After a few seconds, it turned into a cold iron plate again. Call. Liu Sheng let out a breath, and a strong light shot out from his eyes. It seems that there is still some energy left in this city. If I'm lucky, maybe I can find more information about this world. Liu Sheng picked up the disc and quickly walked out of the room. He began to search door to door, and in the process, he found some discs in different colors and styles from the first one. Liu Sheng speculates that the disc may be something similar to a computer, which is found in many families, and most of them are found in study rooms and bedrooms. Liu Sheng gathered about dozens of similar discs, and finally tried to open them one by one in one place. A soft blue light flickered on and off before his eyes. Most of the discs have run out of energy, and the rest are either damaged or remind Liu Sheng that they do not have sufficient access rights. A password is required. Liu Sheng felt helpless. Finally, when Liu Sheng picked up a silver-grey disc, things finally turned around. This disc was found by Liu Sheng from a box, which seems to have not been opened in time. Welcome to use Tianheng Technology. Lan Guang condensed into a hand-high, soft-looking woman, wearing a pink one-piece suit, with perfect body proportions. Liu Sheng waited for a while, and he was relieved when no prompts such as the password pupil model popped up. How to use it? Liu Sheng hesitated for a moment. But almost instantly, the Blu-ray beauty in front of her smiled and said, "Users who use optical brains for the first time, can operate according to the following prompts." Fortunately, there is a tutorial for beginners. Liu Sheng heaved a sigh of relief. Soon, he mastered the operation method under the intelligent guidance of the optical brain. The next step is to slowly understand the process of this world. Liu Sheng took a breath, thought for a while, and issued an order. Help me call out the news information of the latest date. Connecting to Skynet. Skynet connection failed. Connecting to the civilian database of base 1359. Connection succeeded. The next moment, a large amount of information flashed across Liu Sheng's eyes. Wherever Liu Sheng's eyes rested, the text at the corresponding position would immediately enlarge and be presented in front of him actively. On June 21, 11,024 in the military calendar, the number 2 main base successfully launched the 58th batch of life exploration spacecraft, targeting the Lyra galaxy. On July 12, 11,024 in the military calendar, base 105 fell. On September 24, 11,024 in the military calendar, Admiral Sun Kanghe was successfully promoted to the 10th level star realm, becoming the 472nd 10th level star realm powerhouse in the history of the World Wushu League. Currently, the Wu Meng League has a total of 23 10th level star realm powerhouses. Bit. On September 30, 11,024 in the martial arts calendar, bases 114, 893, and 1022 fell, and the World Martial Arts League will hold the 274th Grandmaster meeting at the main base of number 1. On October 3, 11,024 in the military calendar, bases 585, 697, and 1253 fell. November 19, 11,024 in the military calendar. Liu Sheng quickly browsed the news presented to him by the optical brain. All kinds of information are constantly impacting Liu Sheng's brain nerves. The 10th level powerhouse, the planetary immigration plan, the Grandmaster meeting. Just as Liu Sheng expected, the martial arts civilization in this world is much higher than that of the world he lives in, and he has even explored the path of martial arts 10th and 11th level above the 9th level. But even so, the most news that Liu Sheng saw was the news of the fall of martial arts bases one after another. The martial arts civilization in this world is incomparably brilliant, and it has multiplied to an unimaginable height, but the enemies they face are even more terrifying. Even the 10th and 11th level of martial arts powerhouses cannot protect the human race that is crumbling under the claws of alien beasts. Later, they even decided to abandon their home planet and began to try to find a second habitable planet for life. But judging by the news, Liu Sheng lowered his eyes, and the speed of the blue light information flashing in front of him also slowed down. Until the day when base 1359 fell, the exploration spacecraft that were launched did not come back with any exciting news. Liu Sheng mourned for them. From the cold news, what he saw was the helplessness and sorrow of a glorious civilization when it was going to perish. Liu Sheng stopped reading the news, and instead said, "Help me call up the history of the world. World historical data is being retrieved. 020 The Tinder Project, the next 10,000 years. 4. Retrieval of world data successfully." Liu Sheng looked at the newly slid out message. In the first year of the martial calendar, the northern part of the ancient eagle country, the southern part of the ancient lion country, the eastern part, and the western part of the ancient dragon country, the surface cracked, and a large number of creatures from different worlds emerged from it. When he read the first line of world history, Liu Sheng's brain seemed to be hit by a heavy hammer, and it hummed and shook. Liu Sheng suspected that he had read it wrong, so he leaned closer and read it word by word. In the 34th year of martial arts, the world's first inner martial artist was born in Guilong Kingdom. In the same year, the World Martial Arts League was established. In the 42nd year of martial arts, the classification system of martial arts was established. Mr. Yang Qunhe, the martial arts master of Guilong Kingdom, became the first 5-level master in the Martial Arts League. The 104th year of Budo. Liu Sheng sat on the ground in a daze. He was always calm, and his emotions and anger were invisible, but at this time his face was full of shock and disbelief. He looked through the world's previous hundreds of years of history and found that these histories highly overlap with what he learned in history class. The time, historical figures, historical events, are exactly the same. The information from Budao 310 to Budao 315 in the past few years gave him the illusion that he was flipping through old newspapers in recent years. Liu Sheng finally got an unbelievable result. This world, and the real world he has been living in. It's exactly the same. The information he just read is not at all the history of another world's martial arts civilization from prosperity to extinction, but the future of their world. 10,000 years in the future. The year 11,024 of the military calendar, that is to say, the world I live in now will be completely destroyed in more than 10,000 years. Perishing in the overwhelming black mist, perishing in the endless tide of alien beasts. Liu Sheng's face turned pale, he couldn't accept this result. Just a minute ago, he was paying a moment of silence for the fall of this mighty civilization. And a minute later, he realized that he was mourning for the future of his own civilization. Not necessarily, it may not be the same, it may be a coincidence, it may be a parallel world. Liu Sheng comforted himself, trying to calm himself down. He needs more facts to verify. Liu Sheng tries to zoom in on history to find clues from smaller clues. But at this time, the optical brain prompts, insufficient authority, visitors cannot query. Liu Sheng frowned slightly, and said, generate users. Please provide a genetic blood sample. It is really remarkable that the optical brain of future technology needs genetic blood samples to establish users. Liu Sheng didn't know if it would work in the dream, but he still bit his index finger and dripped a drop of blood on the groove in the middle of the optical brain. After Liu Sheng dripped blood on it, Guang Nao fell into silence for more than 10 minutes. Just when Liu Sheng wondered if this thing had crashed, the optical brain finally let out a crisp beep sound. But it is not a reminder that a new user has been successfully established, but the human gene blood sample was detected, and the Tinder project was launched. Connecting to number 1359 Tinder Resource Library. Connection succeeded. Privilege enabled. The next moment, before Liu Sheng's eyes, a large piece of information jumped out. Name, Liu Sheng. Sex, male. Lifespan, June 297 in Budo, August 334 in Budo. Martial arts strength, level 4 warrior. Available authority, level 2. At the top of this piece of information is a photo of the character himself. In the photo was a middle-aged man with a handsome appearance and a resolute face. Liu Sheng was very familiar with him. This person is himself. Liu Sheng calmly continued to read the introduction about his life. Graduated from Beihe No. 3 Middle School in Beihe City, and entered Beihe Wuda University with the first place in the school and the 23rd place in Beihe City. 3 years later, he graduated from Beihe Wuhan University and joined the military region. After serving in the Tianese military region, Budo died at the age of 37 in August 334 on the battlefield of the Southern War Zone. Unmarried. Highest rank, Lieutenant Officer. Military exploits, First class military exploits 3 times, second class military exploits 5 times, third class military exploits 12 times. No outstanding contribution. That is to say, I will die at the age of 37. I will die on the battlefield with strange beasts. I will only be a 4th level warrior until I die. Historical evaluation. There is also a character's historical evaluation at the bottom of the data, which is marked with 2 stars. It just corresponds to Liu Sheng's level 2 authority in the Tinder Resource Library. Liu Sheng took a deep breath, his eyes became extremely complicated. It was hard for him not to believe that this was the future he was about to face. Because the Liu Sheng in the data had exactly the same life trajectory as him before the age of 18. Even the sudden surge in strength more than 200 days before the college entrance examination was recorded. In the face of the heavy history, his sudden transformation from a mediocrity to a genius is not even a ripple. To be precise, after his transformation, Curry is not considered a genius at all in the huge human race data. Because in the history of more than 10,000 years, there are too many geniuses who are 100 times, 1,000 times, more outstanding than him, and it is impossible to count them. The so-called leaving a name in history can only be done by a few people. 021 My future must be more than that. 5. Immediately afterwards, Liu Sheng searched all the familiar people around him. As a result, except for younger sister Liu Qinghe whose historical evaluation reached 1 star, no one could reach 1 star, and most of them had half-star or even no-star evaluations. Liu Sheng speculated that his 2-star evaluation might be due to the military exploits he gained after joining the military region, and his final sacrifice on the battlefield. After all, it can be regarded as contributing life to the continuation of human civilization. Not quite the same. Liu Sheng said to himself, it is said in the data that my score in the college entrance examination was 2.012 in blood value, 257 in combat power index, A in actual combat, etc., and I was admitted to Beihe Wuda with the 23rd place in the city. If you leave the dream space aside, based on the speed at which I only practice body training, breathing techniques, and the blessing of existing resources, it is normal to achieve this result after more than 200 days. However, if you count my practice and gains in the dream space, then I should be far more than this achievement. 2 strong rays of light suddenly shot out from Liu Sheng's eyes. More than 200 days, more than 200 days of dreaming, more than 200 days of harvest. I don't believe I'm making that much progress. How can I, Liu Sheng, be only the 23rd in the city? My ranking should be included in the country, and my name should be known by more people. My future. Liu Sheng clenched his fists tightly. It must, not only that. Since it is the future, it can be changed. My own future can be changed, and so can the future of the human race. If the human civilization in the future is going to perish, then I, Liu Sheng, will be the one who changes history and turns the tide. Liu Sheng looked at the words Tinder Resource Library flashing blue light on the optical brain screen, and spoke calmly and firmly. I am the seed of fire, and I will surely start a prairie fire. At this moment, the depression, bewilderment, and disappointment in Liu Sheng's heart were swept away, and replaced by unprecedented firmness and confidence. His temperament has undergone a new transformation, and there seems to be a flame burning in his eyes. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audio Wave. Martial arts, one should go forward bravely. If the front is doomed to be a desperate situation, then forcefully carve out a way out in the desperate situation. This is Liu Sheng's belief. Xiao Sheng, why didn't you change your school uniform? Don't you have to go to school today? Zheng Yufen brought pots of breakfast to the table, and curiously asked Liu Sheng who was sitting at the table in casual attire and eating breakfast. Liu Sheng picked up a meat bun casually, nodded and said, yes, the teacher said that you can choose to study at home in the future. Is there such a thing? Zheng Yufen muttered suspiciously, but she was working several odd jobs at the same time, and Zhang Luo was rushing to work after breakfast, so she didn't have the energy to think too much, so she didn't ask any more questions. Liu Qinghe, who was next to her, originally wanted to say out of habit, I haven't heard that the 3rd middle school has such a new regulation recently, but when she met Liu Sheng's dark and deep eyes, she forcefully said this sentence swallowed it back. This guy. Liu Qinghe took a bite of the bun in his hand. Recently, Liu Sheng, the big brother, has undergone more and more changes, and he is no longer mediocre and cowardly. Before, she just felt that Liu Sheng had become a little deep and mysterious. But today, Liu Sheng felt to her like a mountain, a piece of iron, a ball of fire. Sitting next to Liu Sheng, she even felt oppressed that she couldn't breathe. This feeling is too bad. Liu Sheng didn't pay attention to Liu Qinghe's strangeness. After he had a quick breakfast, he went back to his room to practice body training. After finishing the 4th exercise, Liu Sheng's cell phone rang, and it was an unfamiliar number. Liu Sheng, your scholarship has come down, come to school this afternoon to get it. As expected, it was Zhong Zhenqiuo's call. Understood, Teacher Zhong. By the way, why didn't you come to class today? It's not about your school time. Will the school still have a meeting to discuss it? Unfortunately, I still remember not notifying your parents and asking for your private mobile phone number from your classmates. Mr. Zhong, I don't have much time, so I can't waste any more. Well. Ignoring whether Zhong Zhenqiu on the other end of the phone could understand his words, Liu Sheng hung up the phone. Since returning from the dream last night, Liu Sheng's mentality has completely changed. Before that, Liu Sheng was still cautiously hiding his own strength, not daring to reveal too much, not daring to let too many people know. He took many factors into consideration. It was difficult to explain to his family, rigidity is easy to break, Muxiu Yulinfeng must be destroyed and so on. But now, Liu Sheng doesn't think about these anymore. He just wants to show his sharpness, he just wants to shock others. Only by showing more talents can we get more resources. He needs to rush to the top as quickly as possible, and then find a way to change the future. I can't wait for a moment. In addition, Liu Sheng also wanted to use this to verify an idea in his heart. Liu Sheng repeatedly practiced body exercises, combined with breathing techniques. Again and again. The purpose is to squeeze out your energy as quickly as possible, produce a sense of fatigue, and then enter the dreamland. When Liu Sheng finished the 27th round of body exercises, he was finally so tired that he collapsed on the ground, unwilling to move even a little finger. Drowsiness hit, and he gradually fell asleep. Opening his eyes, he saw the light brain in front of him in the same place he left yesterday. Liu Sheng skillfully turned on the optical brain, and then gave instructions. Call out all the martial arts related practice methods, perceptions, and notes that I can inquire within my authority. Querying. Soon, a huge amount of information appeared in front of Liu Sheng. It is densely packed, all of which are related to martial arts. Too much. With the accumulation of more than 10,000 years, the inspiration and wisdom of countless people, even if Liu Sheng's authority is only level 2, the knowledge he can get is massive. Liu Sheng thought for a while, then continued, screen, the exercises that are most suitable for a first-level martial artist, and the most valuable content. Screening. The content in front of Liu Sheng decreased rapidly, and finally, the information left in front of him. Only 3 remain. Ask for flowers, rating votes, and comments. Thank you all. 022 The 11th level, the supreme skill. 1. Stellar Body Forging Technique, Introduction. Cultivation Method Introduction, created by Wang He, the 11th level powerhouse of the Wu Meng League, and included in the Fire Plan. Natural Breathing Method, Introduction. Introduction to the exercises, created by Yang Yizhu, the 11th level powerhouse of the Martial Arts League, it was included in the Fire Plan. Crystal Ideas, Introduction. Cultivation Method Introduction, created by Duan Yifeng, the 11th level powerhouse of the Wu Meng League, and included in the Tinder Plan. Among the 3 exercises, the first one is bigger than the first one, and the creators listed after the exercises made Liu Sheng's eyes jump wildly. Level 11. Level 11. Level 11. Today's martial arts experts in the world are only at the 9th level, but before Liu Sheng, there are 3 inheritances of the 11th level experts. Although they are just introductory chapters, their value is beyond words. Liu Sheng noticed that the backs of these 3 exercises are all marked, have been included in the Fire Plan. Recalling the prompt Tinder project has started when he opened the database yesterday, Liu Sheng seemed to understand the meaning of Tinder project. Those strong men standing at the top in the martial arts league in the future should have anticipated the upcoming fate of the race. There is nothing they can do, so they can only preserve the essence of what they have learned all their lives. I look forward to the latecomers who can continue this fire for them. Liu Sheng couldn't help sighing. It's a pity that they never thought that it was not the latecomers who picked up this kindling, but their ancestors. Liu Sheng looked at the 3 exercises, thought for a while, and said, check out the follow-up exercises. Insufficient permissions, query failed, please increase access permissions. Really? The Tinder resource library is an out-and-out treasure house. But obviously opening this treasure house also requires conditions. The condition is sufficient access rights, and the access rights are closely related to the strength, achievements, reputation, and contributions of the visitors. Liu Sheng did not continue to try, but began to concentrate on reading the 3 exercises in front of him. The martial arts crystallization of the 11th level top powerhouse, Liu Sheng word for word, for fear of missing a single word. Soon, he read all 3 exercises. There was deep shock in Liu Sheng's eyes. Although he has not yet started formal practice, he has already been shocked by the magnificent and unconstrained concept of the exercises. Stellar body refining technique sets the human body as a miniature universe, and when it is practiced to the depths, the density of the martial artist's body will reach an extremely terrifying level. The defense and strength are unimaginable, and the blood is as blazing as a star, like a galaxy. Majestic. The natural breathing method, combined with any martial arts practice, can make the progress of the practice method skyrocket. Moreover, the natural breathing method can allow the warrior to enter the state of harmony between man and nature, which has an incomparably huge effect on the improvement of the martial arts realm. Benefit. Crystal view thought, purifying the mind and strengthening the will, involves the most mysterious part of spiritual power in martial arts practice. These 3 exercises have different emphases, but they are selected by the optical brain, and are the most suitable for first-level warriors to lay the foundation of the Supreme Exercise Introductory Chapter. Liu Sheng couldn't wait to start trying. Although it is said that the results of practicing in the dream space cannot be brought into reality, but if you practice first in the dream space, you can get started faster in reality. The first thing Liu Sheng practiced was stellar body refining technique and natural breathing method. Even if it is an introductory article, the grade of these 2 exercises is too high. Without the blessing of memory proficiency, even Liu Sheng, a first-level warrior, tried for a long time before barely getting started. When Liu Sheng made the last movement of stellar body refining technique, his whole body trembled like an electric shock. That incomparably intense pain and numbness quickly swept through every corner of Liu Sheng's body like a raging tide. Even the muscles and meridians at the tip of the little finger are vibrated and exercised. This pain lasted for more than half an hour before it gradually weakened, followed by an unparalleled sense of comfort. Liu Sheng was immersed in the intense pleasure of practice, and his soul seemed to be going out of his body. If the effect of the body training technique he practiced before is 1, then the effect of stellar body training technique plus natural breathing method is 1000, or even higher. But what he practiced the first time, which was promoted by the Wu Meng, was the 24 basic body training techniques, and the effect was completely negligible. It is no different from radio gymnastics. After one practice, Liu Sheng collapsed on the ground, unable to move at all. Taking advantage of this time, Liu Sheng began to try to practice crystal conception thoughts. The concept of crystal view ideas is wonderful and mysterious. Its first step is to allow the practitioner to visualize a human form in his mind, a human form completely carved out of crystal. This crystal human form must be full of impurities at the beginning, and then with the breathing, all the impurities are removed bit by bit, and finally it is spotless. Although Liu Sheng doesn't quite understand the ideas and effects imparted by crystal view thoughts, but he also knows that spiritual will is very important to martial arts practice. A warrior with a firm will and no distracting thoughts will far surpass a warrior with a slack will and a lot of desires, no matter in terms of combat effectiveness or speed of practice. Therefore, there have always been many ascetics in the martial arts world. However, although crystal conception thought is miraculous, it is also very difficult to practice. Even with the help of the optical brain, he built a 3-dimensional crystal human figure in front of Liu Sheng, but he couldn't build his own crystal human figure in his mind once. It can only come slowly in the future. The real takeoff begins. Please ask for flowers to evaluate votes and comments. 023 Strong muscles and strong blood, 2. It took Liu Sheng a long time to recover from the exhaustion of practicing star body refining technique for the first time. This can be regarded as the most exhausted time in his dream. After barely recovering some of his physical strength, Liu Sheng ordered the light brain again. Inquiry: the most suitable tonic for first-level warriors to replenish qi and blood. Querying. Ugh. A large amount of information appeared in front of Liu Sheng again. Simulation conditions, 300 years of martial arts, can realize the prescription. Filtering. Information dwindles rapidly. Soon, a few articles appeared in front of Liu Sheng. In addition to the formula of each medicine, these contents also list the form, current name and former name of each medicinal material in the prescription, saving Liu Sheng a lot of hard work. Liu Sheng wrote down these prescriptions one by one, and then chose to wake up. It stinks. As soon as Liu Sheng woke up, he smelled a strong stench. He hurriedly got up and found that his whole body was covered with a layer of black and shiny sludge. It is from these sludge that the stench emanates. It's because of stellar body refining technique and natural breathing method. Although I only practiced it in the dream, some of the effects are still transmitted to reality. It's like normal people dreaming about sad things, in reality they will cry. Dreaming about something that is extremely frightening will cause nervous convulsions in reality. This is the instinctive reaction of the brain to stimulate the muscles. And just this kind of muscular instinct produced such an exaggerated effect. Liu Sheng felt that he still underestimated the superimposed effect of star body refining technique and natural breathing method. After figuring out the reason, Liu Sheng hurried to take a shower. The blood value should increase again, but I don't know how much it has increased. Liu Sheng, who came out of the bathroom with wet hair, looked up at the clock on the wall and thought, it's almost time to go to school. At least say hello to me first next time. Zhong Zhenqiu handed a bank card to Liu Sheng, and reprimanded him with some dissatisfaction. Understood, Teacher Zhong. Zhong Zhenqiu wanted to say something more, but when he saw Liu Sheng's calm face like water, he closed his mouth again. Go, come to the school to report at least once a week from now on. Zhong Zhenqiu waved his hands helplessly. Yes. Liu Sheng put away his bank card, turned around and left. Seeing Liu Sheng's leaving back, Zhong Zhenqiu felt an inexplicable feeling in his heart. It's a strange feeling, I can't put it into words. If you have to describe it. The original Liu Sheng, Zhong Zhenqiu can still see through. But now Liu Sheng, Zhong Zhenqiu couldn't see through at all. And this change only took a short time in the middle. Zhong Zhenqiu shook his head. Don't think about things you can't figure out. Finally, I have some money. Liu Sheng walked out of Zhong Zhenqiu's office, feeling a little more at ease in his heart for the first time. Of course, it is impossible to directly use this money to buy supplements, that would be a waste. The best method of control is to buy materials and deploy them yourself. Liu Sheng has just collected several tonic prescriptions from Curry, a kindling resource, and they are coming in handy. Of course, although these kinds of prescriptions are selected by the optical brain and can be realized in his era, but which ones are suitable for the current Liu Sheng still need further screening. The screening condition in this step is mainly money. Liu Sheng directly found an internet cafe near the school and checked online. I don't know if Zhong Zhenqiu saw his most valued student, after negotiating with him the conditions for free control of school time, turned around and entered the internet cafe, would he be so angry that he vomited blood? Skilled registration, on the plane. The internet cafe was filled with smoke, so Liu Sheng sat down at a random place. On his left and right sides, several social youths were playing games. He looked about the same age as him, with colorful hair and tattoos on his arms. After discovering that Liu Sheng sat down and turned on the computer to look up information, a few social youths laughed and stopped looking. Liu Sheng ignored them, and looked up the information one by one for the prescriptions in his mind. Mainly to inquire about the price of medicinal materials. Then calculate the cost of each prescription, and find out the most suitable one according to the cost performance. Soon, Liu Sheng identified 2 tonics that were suitable for him. Lingji's Wangxiu decoction, and Yang Sui pill. The constituent medicinal materials of these 2 tonics can basically be bought on the market, and the price is not expensive, which is within Liu Sheng's acceptable range. Among them, the effect of Yang Sui pill is even better, but Liu Sheng found out that one of the medicinal materials needs to be freshly picked to be effective within a few hours. And the origin of that medicinal material is not in Beihe City. Then choose Lingji's Wangxiu decoction. It happens that the preparation of Lingji's Wangxiu decoction is relatively simple, suitable for a novice like me. Liu Sheng made up his mind. Now there is only one question left for him to consider. Where do you prepare the soup? 024 Hall of Charity, 3. No matter how simple the preparation of soup and medicine is, it needs professional utensils. A little difference in heat and dosage, the effect may be much worse. It's unrealistic to buy a set by myself, because I don't have enough money. It is best to be able to rent someone else's use. Liu Sheng was a little distressed. There should be places like this where drugs can be dispensed, drug research institutes, or larger pharmacies, and pharmaceutical companies should have them. But the question is, why should others rent it to you? Such an important place as the blending room involves the commercial secrets of various pharmaceutical companies, how could it be possible for people to enter it casually, let alone borrow it for personal use? Forget it, first buy all the medicinal materials needed for Lingji's Wangxiu decoction, and then think of a way. Sir, are you kidding me? It's absolutely impossible. Seeing that the face of the pharmacist in front of him turned dark, Liu Sheng got up and left quickly. The 7th house is really unrealistic. Liu Sheng, who walked out of the pharmacy, sighed softly, with a look of helplessness on his face. He has already bought all the medicinal materials needed for Lingji's Wangxiu decoction, and even bought several more than expected. Because the money in the card that Zhong Zhenqiu gave him was not 30,000, but a full 80,000. The extra 50,000 is probably Zhong Zhenqiu's private sponsorship. The process of renting a compounding room was not smooth at all. Liu Sheng went to 7 pharmaceutical companies and pharmacies in a row, but all of them were rejected. The last one, if it really doesn't work, you can only buy some crude equipment online to try. Liu Sheng looked at the 8th pharmacy that appeared in his field of vision, thinking to himself. The signboard of Xing Shantang hangs on the door of this pharmacy. Such a store name is rare in Beihe City. Liu straightened his clothes and walked in. The pharmacy is not big, and there are some cabinets with medicines on display inside. A young man in a white coat is lying on the counter playing with his mobile phone. Hearing the sound of Liu Sheng entering the door, the young man raised his head and glanced at him, then quickly lowered his head. Whatever you want to buy, you can see for yourself, and come back to me to check out. At the end, he seemed to think of something, and added, don't think about taking the things and running away, there are surveillance cameras in the store, and the pictures are clear. After speaking, the young man began to focus on swiping his phone again. Liu Sheng's eyes flickered. The store's business does not seem to be doing well. No matter which pharmacy he entered before, no matter how bad the salesperson inside was, he would come up to him symbolically and ask him what he needed. But the clerk in this store was nice, and he just ignored him, not looking like he wanted to make a deal at all. How could a shop with such a style be able to thrive? Of course, whether its business is good or not has nothing to do with Liu Sheng. Liu Sheng approached the counter and reached out to press the mobile phone in the young man's hand. Do you wanna die? The young man's eyes moved away from the phone screen, and he was about to get angry in an instant. But when he looked into Liu Sheng's eyes, he felt the aggressive aura emanating from him, and he softened in seconds. You, what do you want? The young man took 2 steps back quickly, looked at Liu Sheng with some fear, and glanced at the mobile phone under Liu Sheng's hand from time to time. Liu Sheng said calmly, I want to ask you something. Does your pharmacy have its own pharmacy dispensing room? How about it? So what if you don't? Aren't you here to buy medicine? The young man said quickly. Liu Sheng stretched out a finger and tapped the glass counter lightly, and said lightly, if there is, I would like to discuss a business with you. 5 minutes later, Liu Sheng followed the young man to the door of a room behind the pharmacy. The young man's expression seemed a little nervous, and he repeatedly confirmed with Liu Sheng, it's agreed, 200 for an hour, less than an hour will be counted as an hour, and you can use it for a maximum of 3 hours. After 3 hours. Also, you have to pay first, the 200 rent first. Can. Liu Sheng simply took out 200 yuan and handed it to the young man. The young man's eyes lit up, he took the money and quickly stuffed it into his pocket, then took out a key, opened the door, and told Liu Sheng, okay, go in quickly. Be careful not to break things, or you will be compensated according to the price. I know. Liu Sheng walked straight into the room. Behind him, the young man pretended to be nonchalant and quickly returned to the store, but his face could not hide the joy. There is such a good thing, isn't this money picked up for nothing? Just delete the surveillance records later. Liu Sheng inspected the room with satisfaction in his eyes. This mixing room is not big, but it has all the necessary utensils, enough for him to operate. It can be seen that the pharmacists of Xing take good care of these utensils and use them frequently. Every utensil is spotlessly clean. Liu Sheng wasted no time. The young man who agreed to rent his adjustment room obviously had no right to speak and was sneaky. He must achieve his goal as soon as possible, and the people from the provincial Xing came back to add trouble. Ling muscle strengthening blood soup. Liu Sheng put on a white pharmacist's uniform and a mask, and began to process the medicinal materials one by one according to the prescription instructions of Lingji's Wangxiu decoction. Compared with the final deployment, this step is the most difficult and most important. Fortunately, the preparation of Lingji's Wangxiu decoction is really not difficult. It is almost the same as an ordinary chemical experiment, but the process is a little more cumbersome. Gulu gulu. Liu Sheng carefully poured the boiled medicinal soup into a flask. I didn't expect the first time to go well. Liu Sheng watched the inside of the flask gradually cool down, turning into a beautiful light green medicinal soup, and felt a little joy in his heart. But whether it is considered a success or not can only be known after experiencing the effect. Signed, looking for flowers evaluation votes and comments. 025 He Ling Su, 4. Liu Sheng pulled off his mask and directly poured all the medicinal soup in the flask into his mouth. The medicinal soup entered the throat and quickly flowed into the stomach. Liu Sheng didn't even know what it tasted like. He stood there and waited quietly for a few seconds. Soon, he felt a hot current rushing out of his body, and it traveled all over his body within a few breaths. Every inch of muscle cells in Liu Sheng's body was greedily absorbing this heat flow. It is as if the dry land is suddenly watered, and the sponge that has been exposed to the sun is thrown into the water. A trace of white air evaporated on Liu Sheng's surface, and the blood in his body surged, and his whole body felt gradually filled. After 10 minutes, this feeling gradually weakened and finally disappeared. Liu Sheng stared brightly at the flask in his hand. He knew that he had succeeded. The effect of Lingji's Wangxiu decoction was even better than he expected, almost more than 10 times that of the nourishing blood powder he had eaten before. And the production cost is even less than twice that of nourishing blood powder. Liu Sheng also felt that his skin had become slightly firmer. This is stated in the prescription. Since Lingji's Wangxiu decoction is called Lingji's Wangxiu decoction, naturally it not only has the effect of strengthening blood. While strengthening the blood, it can also increase the skin density of the user, reduce pores, whiten and moisturize the skin, etc. Additional effects. The tonic of the future is Niobe, the crystallization of wisdom of more than 10,000 years. If you take it out, you can throw it on the 18th street. Sheng couldn't help sighing. The effect of the Lingji's Wangxiu decoction he just took has not been fully absorbed, and there is still a part of it in his body, which needs to be stimulated by practicing star body training. Of course not now, the top priority is to prepare all the medicinal materials in hand as soon as possible. With a successful experience, Sheng's follow-up deployment went very smoothly. Bang bang bang! Sheng opened the door with a blank expression on his face. Didn't you say that you are not allowed to disturb me in the middle? Our boss is coming back soon, come out quickly. The young man at the door looked nervous and kept urging. Sheng's expression froze, and he didn't talk nonsense to him. He quickly cleaned up the mixing room, took the prepared medicine, and walked out of the mixing room. Although the time was much earlier than my budget, fortunately, the preparation of the 12 Lingji's Wangxiu soup was completed, which was considered a complete success. Sheng gave another 200 yuan to the young man, and then left the charity hall. Before leaving, the young man specially left Sheng's mobile phone number, saying that he can contact him by phone next time if he needs it. It seems that he plans to develop a long-term business. Sheng carried 12 servings of muscle-strengthening blood soup in his pocket, and his steps were steady and swift. Now that he has the blood tonic, he just wants to improve his cultivation. He Lingsu dragged his tired body out of the car. He Lingsu is only 20 years old, with a graceful figure and a soft face. He should be enjoying life like a flower, but he took on the burden of the family early on. The He family made a living by pharmacy in the era, and their ancestors even had a 5th-level pharmacist who was famous in Beihe, but when it was passed down to her father's generation, they fell down. When the He family was in the generation of Grandpa He Lingsu, it was still prosperous, and the branches of Xing Shantang spanned several provinces, with a total of more than 100. But now, only the 2 in Beihe city are still alive. Martial arts are developing rapidly, and the medical industry that is born with martial arts is also changing with each passing day. Every day, new and better prescriptions are developed, and old prescriptions are cracked and eliminated. The reason why my He family has declined to this point is because the concept is too conservative and outdated, sticking to the old rules and not thinking about making progress. I don't even think about whether the martial arts tonic that was popular 100 years ago can still sell well now. At that time, many people couldn't even afford a pair of nourishing blood powder with a monthly salary. Only by bringing forth the new through the old is the best way to save my He family's current predicament. He Lingsu has always done the same. During this period of time, she has been looking for a new martial arts tonic everywhere, as a signboard, to save the He family's business. But after half a year, little effect has been achieved. Yesterday, I just found out that an old pharmacist in the city next door had recently developed a new tonic, and He Lingsu rushed over there non-stop. As a result, the car drove halfway, and received a call from the other party, telling her not to come, and the new drug had already selected a partner. He Lingsu returned empty-handed. "Miss He, you are back." As soon as she entered, the young man in a white coat greeted her immediately. He Lingsu was depressed and didn't have time to talk to the other party, so he just nodded indifferently. She has taken over the family's pharmacy for so long, so she naturally knows the private morals of the 2 shop assistants. This clerk named Ma Fei is lazy, likes to go to work, and sometimes steals tonics from the store to sell. She has warned her several times and refuses to repent. If she hadn't recruited a suitable replacement, she would have let the other party pack up and leave. "It's so beautiful, if only I could be my girlfriend." Ma Fei had been staring at He Lingsu's back as he completely disappeared from his field of vision, and then reluctantly withdrew his gaze. He Lingsu has always been Ma Fei's dream goddess. The reason why Ma Fei stayed in Xing Shantang and refused to leave was because he fantasized that it would be nice if he Ling Su liked him one day. Although the current business of Xing Shantang is not very good, after all, a skinny camel is bigger than a horse, and he has a double harvest in love and career, and he has directly reached the pinnacle of life. Although this possibility is a little smaller than the chance of winning the lottery, what if? It's hard to tell the taste of a rich lady. Isn't that how it's written in urban YY novels, the mediocre poor boy? Ma Fei was laying on the counter and looking jolly, when suddenly He Ling's figure appeared in front of him again. Miss He. Ma Fei stood up in a jerk, and wiped the drool from the corner of his mouth with his sleeve. At this time, He Ling's pretty face had completely turned into frost, and his face was extremely gloomy. Did you sneak someone into my pharmacy mixing room? Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audio Wave to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.